are live.
Woo. All right.
Yay. Sweet. So people will come on, and while people are coming on, I'm going to just share to a couple of groups real quick so we can let everybody know we're here. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. So I don't. Whoop. Ah! You're frozen. What's going on? What's for? What?
Okay.
There you are.
Jesus.
Okay.
Oh.
Switcheroo.
That went off.
You
I'm
almost-
like, what?
Ah! Okay. Steady as she goes.
Oh my
Whoop.
God.
Whoop. What?
I'm new. Please be gentle.
Please be gentle. Everybody come in. Come in. Come meet my son. He's the golden boy, my only boy. Look at this screen grab, Mitchell. It's always so much fun. It's always so. I actually look decent in this one. I'm shocked. I'm actually just smiling. Shocking. Come on in, everybody. Say hello. I'm not seeing any comments yet. And my sunburn is super itchy. Live tarot card readings with my son. Me. Oops. Okay. Come on in. Hi, Wendy. How are you? Elaine, hello. Nice to meet you. Elaine, thanks for joining. If you're feeling kind and generous, please share out. Hello, Miss Jen. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Boop.
Hello, Jen.
Copy. I'm wonderful. How are you, my boy?
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good? I had a great day. It rained consistently all day long.
Yeah.
It literally did. It was just rain, 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 and more rain. And I was door dashing, and it was swell. And yeah, everything was good. So I'm just taking a second to share. Boop. Come on in. We got 12 viewers. Keep coming. Come on, and we're going to do some card readings. So, Mitchell, while I'm sharing out, introduce yourself. Tell everybody something interesting about you. And when did you start deciding, or when did you get interested in learning about the tarot?
Kind of recently, honestly. I would say probably like within the past year. And it's been like I've been sort of figuring out what I want to do with the rest of my life moving forward from working like a day job that I'm not satisfied with, and trying to move into more of like a career in art, that type of thing. I do find like I consider them like the spiritual like tools of the trade. It's like stuff like palm reading and like tarot and everything. It's like those are in my mind forms of artistic expression, and it's like, you know, I'm just wanting to like learn how to use these tools so that way I can inspire people, because inspiring people is kind of like my favorite thing. It's like my crack, you know. And I figure like if I have a talent for doing that, which like I feel like I do, I'm pretty sure like people they're either super annoyed by me or they like love me to death. So for the people that love me to death, I imagine that they value that, you know. So like, hey, maybe I can make a life out of that, like as a skill, you know.
Absolutely, and I think that would be great. I think it's important for people to explore their creativity and to tap into that creative energy that flows through all of us. It's very useful, and you never know what kind of information you can be sharing to the collective that really needs to be shared.
Exactly.
Hi, Tracy.
I heard one description once of all a psychic is somebody that makes the invisible visible. Or like the person that says the thing that hasn't been said, and it's just like, that checks out. Yeah. Makes intuitive sense to me, you know.
No lies told. No lies told. Okay, so Mitchell is a new tarot card reader, and he has been pulling a card for himself and a few of his close friends every day to kind of try to give yourself some clarity. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, just trying to get familiar with some of the. I'll like draw a card and then like research the meaning for that card specifically, and then like meditate on it for the day, try to apply it to my life and my situation, and so that way like
Great.
over time I can get like a wealth of like situations that I'm used to. So when I draw a card, I'll be like, oh, I know this one. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to give some cards, and if you would like to donate to the boy to help him on his spiritual journey, all of my pay, all of my pay addresses are in the description box, and we appreciate you. He does want to do this as a career, just like his mom. Um, and I'm all for it. I really would love that. I want all my kids to go on their spiritual journey and just be. I mean, I bought Emma a tarot card deck for Christmas.
oh heck yeah,
Yeah, got her the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot. Super cute.
it sure beats the family
Well,
restaurant, dude.
yeah, it's the family restaurant exactly. I used to have a restaurant that my kids worked in with me. So, hey,
Oh my god.
Elspeth, welcome, welcome. Meet my son. This is my son Mitchell. Good
No.
Mitchie. That's been his Facebook name forever, but he changed it to Mitchell J. Held. But Mitchie is his nickname and what everybody calls him. So, hi, Shannon. So, if you want, Mitchell, can you see the comments on your screen, or
Yeah,
no?
they
Are you
pop
just
up on
seeing the
your
ones
side
I'm
for
putting
me.
on the screen?
Yeah, those are the
Okay,
ones on the
so
screen.
you're not seeing the whole screen. Okay, so I'll pick people to draw a card for that, and then you just
Cool. Yeah.
kind of because I was going to say if you want to pick somebody, but if you can't see the comments except for the ones that I put on the screen,
So
then
you have
you
to curate
can't.
for me.
Yeah, I'll pick someone for you. Okay, so how about uh, Miss Tracy Shea?
Tracy
How
Shea.
about that?
Would
How
you like
about
a
we
card
do a
drawn?
card for Tracy Shea?
Let's see what we got here. All right, I got me the Nine of Wands here.
Uh huh. Nine of Wands. Oh, that's nice.
I'm still not super clear on the wands. I've been researching more on like the cups and the swords lately because I've just been drawing more of those. So, but,
Well, the wands are usually about like the physical energy of something. Like the Ace of Wands is usually represents like if there's going to be a new source of passion or energy in your life. It could represent starting a new like hobby or like going to the gym. It could also represent a new passionate love affair. The Nine of Wands generally represents like being guarded or protecting what you've fought so hard for. You know,
okay,
like all your hard work. You know, like keeping people like protecting it or just making sure that nobody destroys all the hard work that you've put in. So, how
okay. What's
was
that?
does that
How is that related to the motif of the wands?
the motif of the wands? Well, your physical energy, your hard work, your labor, right? So it's like being defensive or defending all your hard work and labor. And physical energy is wands. It's your physical energy.
Okay. I'd be curious, and this actually kind of gets me thinking. Like, what do you do for a living, Tracy?
Tracy, what is your career? She said, Amen. Tracy, what do you do for a living?
Because like I mean, from how you're describing the Nine of Wands, like first thing that it kind of reminds me of is sort of like thoughts on things like job security and stuff like that.
She's in nursing.
Nursing. How are you? How's your work environment? Would you say it's like super cool, super toxic? Because I know a lot of the times like there can be some seriously toxic nursing environments.
Sure. Because, and the reason for that energetically, of course, she said it's amazing.
That's
So
good.
the
That's
Nine
to
of
hear
Wands
that.
can also be like, well, let's pull something to clarify it. So usually, if you have a card and you're not quite sure uh, what it could mean, you could pull a clarifier, like give me clarity on what this Nine of Wands is representing. And you
That's a
have
good
the
idea.
Ace
I
of
like that.
Swords, right? So this
Okay.
card, the Ace of Swords, actually says newfound clarity because the Ace, the Swords is all about the mental energy. right?
Interesting. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool card, right? She's got a light bulb and all
Oh
that
yeah.
creative energy above her head. So this could be defending your point of view. Okay, it could be
Yeah.
defending your thoughts, your point of view, your stance on certain situations. It could also be like if you're a boss in your nursing field, it could also be like um, starting new um, like rules and regulations for people and like making sure that people follow them. My inner peace. Yes, ma'am. Defending your inner peace. Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So that's something that you need to and I was going to explain squirrel. Okay, so I was going to explain the reason why a lot of nursing environments or hospital environments are toxic is because of the environment itself. If you think about a hospital is a place where people are usually unwell, they don't feel well, they don't their emotions are not in a good place, they're afraid, they're in pain, and usually it's a place of much lower vibration. And if you think about it, nurses, they're giving their love and their care to their patients, and it's everything is like an energy exchange. So when they're giving out good energy, they're taking in that negative energy, and so that becomes a part of their day, a part of their personality, of what they're carrying on their back, and it could contribute to a lot of like emotional, verbal projection throughout the day or in different relationships with people who just don't naturally mesh anyway, right?
It's interesting because I actually work at a hospital, right? And
Right.
they have a poster where it's like it's kind of like a meme poster type thing where it's like a young male and female nurse are all like all fearful of this like this like lady zombie nurse that's like coming at them being all like fresh nurses and everything. And the caption for it is being all like don't eat your young. And it's just like, oh yeah, like that makes sense because like I don't know, I kind of see the same thing. 'Cause I have like 14 years of like table waiting experience too, so it's like I'm very familiar with like working around lots of women, and the bullying is just unreal. Like the sheer shit talking, it's just insane. And it's like, yeah, it's eating your young. It's like the new girl comes in and it's just like she just becomes the center of all the shit talking attention, and it's like
Yeah,
it's brutal, man. Like
it
it's
can
like
be.
it's
It can
interesting
be.
to see that be like called out like very directly that way,
Yeah, yeah,
instead of just being something
exactly.
that's like swept under the rug.
It must be an overwhelming issue if they had to make a poster about it. Always
Yeah,
make my patients smile and comfort and treat them with compassion. Absolutely. Like I said, you give
that's
out
all
all
they
your
need.
good love. Nurses are healers, truly.
Yeah, exactly.
So
You
I hope that resonates with you, Tracy. I hope you enjoy it. Yes, it is, but you have to know why. She said, yes, it is, but you have to know why you were there, not for them, but for your patients.
yeah,
True.
exactly.
True. Hi, Tracy from Scotland. How are you? Please share out if you're kind. I appreciate you. Everybody, if you're just getting here, this is my son, my beautiful boy, my
My
only
name is Mitch.
son. He's so handsome and so smart and extremely intelligent, and he's learning tarot, and I'm very very proud.
I'm gonna be
He's
magic.
gone on his spiritual journey, and he's decided he wants to learn how to do palm reading too. I'm excited about that. I don't know a lot of palm readers personally, so
Progress is
that's
slow on
something
that.
that, yeah, that's something that you should totally get into. I don't know a lot of palm readers, and I will tell you that I went to a spiritual fair um, in March, and there was one palm reader there. Of all the
Ooh,
card readers and all, there was all kinds of tarot card readers and psychics, and there was
and that
only
kind of
one.
surprises me
There was
because I
only
figure
one
like
palm reader, and he was back, like he was booked. So that's definitely something. If you want to do that as a career, just and you want to be busy, that's something people are always interested in. So
yeah, it's like I'm kind of shocked by that because like everybody has hands, right? Like
I know, totally. Everybody has hands when they just have them, and they don't even bother looking at them to figure out like what their hands are saying to them. So
I could
if
teach you
these
just
hands could
like a
talk,
basic thing that I've learned. Like probably the easiest concept is like the flexibility of your fingers that's supposed to correspond to your like mental flexibility. So
uh-huh.
like if you just relax your hands and just push your fingers down about as far as they comfortably go without them like straining or stretching or something, And that would be about a measure of your flexibility. You can see like
Be a measure of what?
this, like my hand would be considered like about of average flexibility. If like by like pushing your fingers until they stop would get them down to like here or something, then you would be like highly mentally flexible, which like isn't necessarily just a good thing. It's like all these things have pros and cons, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
if your fingers like don't want to budge at all, that means you're fairly inflexible. But it's like that can also come with the upside of being like, you're fairly focused and dedicated. You don't like
Yeah,
wander
you're
off
all
the
over the
clusters or
place.
anything.
Yeah. So I guess it'd be good to be kind of in between.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not even necessarily that anything is like good or bad. It's just like this is what you've got to work with. It's the hand you're literally the hand you're dealt.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, let's pick somebody else. Jen says my fingers barely go down at all. Same, sister. Mine are just like, no, don't do it. But I consider myself to be fairly flexible mentally, I guess,
I consider myself average, so my results check out. Oh, another interesting one actually is I'd love to tell you about like the lines and everything, but I don't really know a whole lot about them yet. I'm still studying them. But like apparently your left hand, the lines on that are supposed to represent like the characteristics you were born with, while the lines on your right hand are the characteristics of what you have now. So you'll see there's usually differences between the lines on your left and right hand, and that kind of symbolizes like the change that you've gone through throughout your life.
I have gone through so much change. I can tell by my hands. This one has so many lines, like the left.
I want to say, I can't remember exactly which one's the love line. I want to say it's this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody's going to call me out on this one, I'm sure. But like, sometimes you'll see like on their left hand, they've got like, really, really, really strong, like deep, long line. But then over here, they have a line that's like, it's either shorter or it even like breaks and like continues on. And that can usually represent stuff like they've got some sort of like past relationship trauma type thing. It's like it like breaks the connection of the love line. That's just like that. That's just like one thing, but it's just like there's loads and loads and loads of information for every single line, and like where the lines go on your hand. It's like it's crazy.
It is crazy. Hi.
That's why progress on it is kind of slow because it's just a lot.
Hi, cat eyes. Jen says mentally I'm flexible. Chandra says, "Oh, hi, Misty son." Teresa
Hello.
said, "There's much different, very interesting, amazing, Mitchie, isn't he? He's just a fountain of information. He's a Gemini, so he just remembers everything."
I don't.
She's like, "How many of us are looking at our hands right now?" Honestly, we're all just like, wow, like we've never seen them before.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was fun. You're like, ooh, a hand. Oh, another hand. Okay, great.
There sure are lines on this hand. Like,
hey, look, it's
what do you say about drawing another card? I'm feeling it.
Draw another card. Yeah, right. Teresa's like, I'm doing it. Totally.
Guilty I am.
He's like, I'm doing it. Same. We're all just staring at our hands right now.
Yeah, for real.
It's better than trying to see the inside of your eyelids, right?
Like, don't think about elephants. Don't do it.
Don't think about it. Okay, let's pick another person to give a card to. How about Miss Chandra? Chandra Waddlesworth. Chandra.
I've got the King of Pentacles reversed.
Oh, King of Pentacles reversed. You don't look old enough to be his mom. Mitchell, tell him how old I am.
32.
I knew you were going to say that. No, so the funny story behind
you're 4 years older than me. That makes sense.
Just 4 years older than you know. The first time my kids ever asked me how old I was 32 years old. And so ever since then, I'm 32. So anytime I'm like, how old am I?
It's like your name is Mom because that's what I learned to call you.
Your name is Mom and you're 32.
Yep. That's all I care to know. Like, I don't want to dig deeper than that.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Okay, so Chandra says she's here. She's commenting when she can. She's eating dinner. So what do you feel the King of Pentacles would represent?
So I know when it comes to the things like the king and the page and the knight and all that, that usually more specifically represents like a person in
Mm-hmm.
their life rather than like a situation specifically. So
Mm-hmm.
that can, I guess it can go like one of two ways. It can either like it can represent like you and your situation. It can represent like somebody around you in your life. Uh, let's see. I know the pentacles are also they're also referred to as the coins as well,
Mm-hmm.
and they represent elemental earth.
Mm-hmm.
They represent like the material as well.
Right.
I mean, as Earth, you think like of coins specifically, you'd think like wealth and stuff like that, like stuff you'd be building.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. As far as the king, that obviously gets me thinking of like some sort of paternal figure, some sort of like patriarch or something.
Provider. 1 second.
And
Hold
I
on.
guess,
I'll be
yeah,
right back.
yeah,
Keep
with
talking.
especially with the Pentacles thing, it would be like, yeah, maybe that represents like some sort of provider type figure. Um, it's in reverse though. I don't know what to do with that exactly.
My mother will be right back.
Maybe it's a
I am
patriarchal
Phil
provider
Hookley.
figure that is not providing. Oh, hey, Emma. Dude, your hair looks awesome right now.
Yeah.
You look like a jungle woman. You look like Jane and Tarzan. How you doing, kiddo?
Mom will be right back, so I'm gonna fill her place. But
Mm,
I'm doing good.
heck yeah.
Hello, everyone.
So I'm Emma's older brother, by the way.
Yes. So what were we doing? Because I'm kind of lost.
We were just talking about this card right here, the King of Pentacles in reverse.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you know much about tarot stuff yet?
Nope.
Nothing.
I was just told to fill in.
Oh boy,
Hello.
I don't know what you're supposed to do. Do a little dance or something. I don't know.
I just took a shower, so my hair is pretty messy, but that's okay.
Yeah. We were rocking a towel earlier, so.
Thank you.
Thinking. Oh,
Elspeth.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I guess finish whatever you were doing before. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of hit the end of my train of thought there. I could use more guidance on that. I was talking to them about how the cards like the king and the knight and stuff like that, those usually represent people, and in the case of the pentacles also refer. Oh,
I thought it was
by like the coins as well, and that represents usually like material. So if it's something like a king, that would be some sort of like masculine figure or something like that. That's in like some sort of paternal role. And with like pentacles specifically, then that would like make sense for that to be some sort of like provider, like in some material sense. But I don't know what to do with it being reversed. Maybe that's like
when it's reversed, it usually means like it's the opposite of
so it'd be like
everything that
maybe,
you said. Perhaps they're feeling insecure in their financial situation.
That is being forced to retire, and they aren't they aren't providing anymore.
Or it could be somebody that's feeling insecure in their job or feeling insecure in their finances. It could represent the person that you're pulling the card for. So they could be the one that is the financial provider.
True.
Right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Chandra says it makes so much sense to me.
Oh, does it? What's your insight, Chandra?
So, yeah, does that card resonate with you, and does it make sense for what you're going through right now? Aren't my kids just so cute? Aren't they? I mean, I don't know where they get it
from.
Yep. I mean, all of these guys know who I am, so every time
they see you a lot.
Like, hi.
They're like, hi. She popped in for me.
Bye.
Thank you. Could be my hubby for sure. I also lost my job. This Chandra, I did not know that she lost her job. Financial
Gosh.
insecurity.
All right, yeah, that sounds like a call out right there.
Yeah, that looks like
your,
exactly what she exactly what she's
what's your
going
husband do?
through. What does your husband do? Hi Mildred, it's so good to see you. Ronald, where you been? Yes, they're adorable. My son is single and he's 28. He's in Texas if anyone's interested. He's really, really great. Yeah, fly over. Or if you're around Sturgis area, he'll be here in September to go see a concert with me.
Sure will.
I don't know the name of his job. Girl. Mildred's been working. Well, I'm so happy to see you. Go Cowboys. Why would you put that?
Because they gotta go, man.
They gotta go. No, most people in Texas don't really care for the Cowboys. It's a secret. It's a very closely guarded secret.
That's true. Yeah.
It's true. It's true, right? Most people don't care about the Cowboys. They root for other teams, like the Texans.
Honestly, I see a lot more people. Yeah, they're usually more into like something like the college teams instead, like the Longhorns or Aggies or something like that. I don't really hear a lot of people talking about the Cowboys.
Absolutely. Hi, Barbara. So we're doing free readings tonight, but if you would like to send a donation, and all the donations will go to my boy for the cards that he's pulling for y'all. He's learning how to do tarot. The boy. Tony, it's the boy. Look how awesome he is. The boy. That's what I call you, the boy. Like whenever I'm talking about you, I'm like the boy because you're the only boy.
I am the boy.
You are the boy.
Don't be charged.
Teresa says, I'm a Cowboys fan from Maine. Well.
Hey, heck yeah.
Well. They don't have a team in Maine, so I guess it's okay.
Thank you, Chandra. I appreciate it.
My friend Amanda in Wisconsin says, hi, boy.
Hello.
This is Mitchell. Yay. Mildred says she's an Eagles fan. Hi, Misty and the boy. His name is Mitchell. It's look, his name is right there. Good, Mitchie. That's what he put his name as. His nickname is Mitchie. Okay, so what advice do I have for Chandra moving forward other than, be patient? You have the 10 of Swords, which, as you know, because Chandra does cards too. As you know, the 10 of Swords is like mentally done, being upset, being on the edge of just being overwhelmed. You have the Star card in reverse, which is not exactly how you wish things to turn out, but you do have Strength and Wheel of Fortune. You have 3 out of 4 cards coming out as major arcana cards. So this is a major pivotal point in your timeline right now, since you have 3 out of 4 major arcanas. Alexa says, my boy is a cutie. He's single. He wants a good girl. He's 28. I know he doesn't look it, but he is. He just had a birthday. What, 3 weeks ago? 22nd.
Yeah, just last month.
So Wheel of Fortune, which means better opportunities are coming for you, Chandra. So please be aware of that. You just have to stay strong. Stay strong. This card, Strength, always represents Leo, of course.
I don't know why this is popping into my head right now. I guess maybe it's relevant, but I was just hearing recently about people that like they find like wild success in their career and everything. The saying was like the thing that made you weird as a kid is the thing that will make you successful as an adult.
100%.
100%. Story specifically about like a what was it a palette selector for like top line like fashion industry stuff. They would like pick like the color wheels, and they were like the absolute best in their field by like orders of magnitude. And people would ask her like, what was your like formal training like? And she's like, I didn't really have any formal training. My parents bought me like the biggest box of like Crayola crayons that they could find with like every color imaginable, and I used every single one of them down to the nub. And it's like, that's a weird kid,
Yeah.
But like here they are, like absolute leading edge of their field. So it's like, just think about your past, think about like the things that made you different, because I mean, your heart
The things
kind of
that
like it's
truly
pulling you
brought
into those
joy
things.
to you.
Those things are your strengths.
Absolutely. They are your strengths. And she said, that's so cool. She's been looking into what makes me unique and how I can shine brighter.
Exactly.
So the universe spoke through you, and we're excited about that.
I'm amplifying signals.
Radio waves. Thank you, Barbara. Barbara says, I just came back from Green Bay. What?
Green Bay. How's it like over
Yeah.
there? I've never even
Green
heard of
Bay.
it going.
Lost my mom in April, so I was up there about 6 weeks. I'm so
Oh,
sorry to hear that.
sorry.
That's hard. Mitchell, of course, would be fine if I passed away because I would talk to him every day in spirit.
Jesus, yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hi, Penny. How are you doing? Mildred would love a reading. Let's do a card for Miss Mildred. She's such a darling.
Works for me. What do we got? I've got the Nine of Cups.
9 of Cups. What does this card represent?
So I know the cups, they are representative of elemental water. And they usually, the story that they tell has to do with love, because like water is associated with love, associated with the feminine. Let's see, I don't know where the 9 would be. I know usually whenever it comes to the cups, it's like the center of the story is always going to be about self-love, because that's where like love starts. If you're like, geez, I've had relationships like this, but it's like, if you're the kind of person in a relationship where you're just like, oh, I love you, but I hate myself, it's like you don't actually love them.
Right.
It's like you don't actually know what love is if you don't know what love is. Like if you don't know how to love yourself, you don't know how to love somebody else. That's just like
right.
Whatever you think love is something else. It's
right.
like obsession or like codependency or something like that. So
exactly.
like self-love is the thing.
Exactly.
Where everything starts.
So
where the water of life starts.
For the tarot cards, it usually works in a succession, like it's a journey. Like in the major arcana, it starts with the 0 or the Fool card, and it goes through 21 or 22 cards. I can't remember, but it's a journey, right? And so it's the same way with the minor arcana. It starts at the very basic spark, physical, mental, spiritual, or emotional, right? Spark, and then it goes through like the progression of events all the way up to the 10, which is the ending of the cycle. So it's the 1 at the beginning of the cycle and the 10 at the end of the cycle. So cups are your emotions, and the 9 of Cups represents emotional fulfillment, and like all your hard work is paying off and you're extremely happy. You're in a really good
because it's getting towards the end of the storyline. So
right. So for Mildred, I would say Mildred has really been through a very difficult few years. Mildred lost her mother and her husband within 2 weeks of each other. And her husband, she was married to for like 40 something years. Isn't that right, Mildred? So she had an extremely difficult time. And she's starting to get back to normal. Like she just was writing it. I just was talking about it, Mildred, and then you commented, I'm starting to get back to normal after the loss of my mom and my husband. Exactly. Like it's been a very difficult couple of years for you. And so I love that you got the 9 of Cups. Things are going to continue to get better for you now that you've like literally weathered the storm of the century. Like you've made it through what most people would break from. And I'm really proud of you. And I'm just, my heart goes out to you for everything that you've been through. It's really amazing. So thank you for coming on. It's so good to see you. And I hope things continue to get better for you. No, I did not just send you a friend request since I'm currently doing this. Just everybody, just so you know, if you get a friend request from Misty Lynn LaRiviere, the medium, I don't make profiles for my business page. Okay. I have a personal profile, Misty Lynn, and then I have my business page. Of course, as always, there's always going to be scammers out there. And I guess it's that time of the month that somebody has decided to make a profile, steal my pictures, and try to pawn themselves off as me. They are impersonating. They are not me. Please do not accept the friend request. Matter of fact, report that profile as somebody impersonating me, because impersonating a page, okay? Because they are literally impersonating my page. So no, that is not me. I've had several people message me today telling me, I figured, I was like, she's live. How could she? Exactly. You know, the messed up part, they sent me a friend request too.
Oh, that's right.
I was like, really? It is a scam, Kathleen. You're absolutely right. Don't you hate it when Misty reads your comments before you hit enter? Yes, I do it all the time to Elspeth. Yes, it is a scam, but if you would like to send me a friend request, my profile name is Misty Lynn, and it has my face on there. So, and by all means, if you want to help Mitchell grow his following, you can send him a friend request too. He's on Facebook under Mitchell J. Held, Held, like holding something in your hand. Okay. Hi, Tina. Thank you for coming in. Lisa says, I also received a friend request using your name, but the spelling was incorrect. It's always incorrect because the correct one is mine. So that's just, it's been a couple weeks since I've had somebody try to, oh, you like my hat? I had to wear a hat today because I was door dashing and it was literally pouring rain all day. And I was like, I got to protect my glasses so I can see, because I don't have windshield wipers for my glasses. But look, first of all, that'd be a cool invention, I think. Just tiny little windshield wipers on your glasses. But anyway, yeah. And I'm still wearing my hoodie. Like I just came in. I look younger. Well, then I'm wearing a hat every day. I just came in and sat down and started doing the whatnot here with the boy. Okay. So who should we pick next?
Any volunteers?
Any volunteers for a reading? And if you sent a donation, we appreciate you.
Mom, let's do one for you.
I got a new Tinder match. Sheila Sunland says she would like one.
Hey, right on. All right. Well, what do we got?
Sheila, where are you?
We got the three of wands.
The comments are going so fast, I can't. Hold on a second. Three of wands in reverse. Ooh. Okay. So what do we feel about that card?
Well, I notice on my card at least I've got a serpent featuring pretty prominently right there, and some sort of planet right here. I don't know if this is supposed to be the Earth or the Moon. And
looks like the moon.
Let's see. As far as the serpent goes, it's like I could go on all day about that. The serpent is it's one of my little autistic hyper focuses as far as like a super symbol goes. It can mean practically anything, I guess that would have to be contextualized a little bit by the rest of what's going on the card with the wands and the planet or the moon or whatever.
That's right, Jenny. Jenny said it's my brother from another lifetime. Jenny has had Jenny, I told you about that, right? I showed you that she remembers you from a life in Germany.
Really?
Yeah, I showed her a picture of you one time. Yeah. Yeah, because Jenny does past life. She gets past life visions.
Huh.
Yeah, so she does past life readings.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's really great. She did my mentorship program.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know you had one. That's pretty cool.
I did have one, and I helped a lot of people open their spiritual gifts, and but then I stopped doing it because one person messed it up for everyone.
Oh no. What happened?
Yeah, but it was a 6-week program. Yep. It was fun, wasn't it? And look, we're still friends, and it's been, like 2 years or something, and we're still friends. I'm still friends with a lot of people that I mentored. But anyways, yeah, she saw a picture of you. I sent her a picture of you one day, and she like had this whole vision of being your sister in Germany. And I said, that's interesting because my son is half German.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which Germany?
And what did you say his name
Yeah.
was? What did you say his name was there? I don't remember.
I swear to God, if it was like Heinrich or something, like.
It was Henry.
Of course, it was Henry. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's just crazy. I'm pretty sure it was Henry. Yeah, it's been years. It was Heinrich.
My mom here was about to name me Henry. That was it's kind of a
It was Heinrich. Was your
lifelong
name in that lifetime? Heinrich
Yep.
was your name. She said. So,
God.
which is Henry in German.
Yeah. Yep.
Is Henry in German? So and that's why I probably almost named you Henry. Because I just probably I don't know, but I didn't. She said you can remember, you just need to tap in. Well, he does tap in, but he does it in a different way, and he does it in a different reality. He uses DMT as an aid in his spiritual journey, and so he's going into the multi dimensions, not necessarily this dimensional past, but other dimensionals. And so that's helping expand him in different ways. Maybe at some point he'll just do it organically.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. I'm trying to get the muscle memory down for like whenever I like do the crazy like speaking in tongues and like doing like wizard hand nonsense and everything, trying to like learn the motions so I can figure out how I'm doing it unconsciously, so that way I can do it consciously. And
so
it's weird
she
because
was
it's like completely uncharted water as far as I can tell. There's no guides on like how to do this. I'm kind of pioneering it. So,
Sheila's like, hey, so about my card. What does that card mean, Heinrich?
Sorry, that was a good side quest. I mean,
so we had a squirrel moment. It's okay. This is not a straight path.
The serpent, right? That's like the standout thing for me, at least. Like, boy, where to start? The first thing that comes to mind with the serpent is usually like regeneration. That seems to be like one of the central themes for the serpent, and you see that with like all sorts of symbols. Like it's no coincidence that like the caduceus symbol, the two snakes like swirling up a scepter, that like represents the entire medical industry. It's because the serpent's associated with healing. And I think it was the book of Exodus. God sends a bunch of like poisonous snakes after the Jews because they're like in chaos in the desert and they're losing their way and they're like sinning. So he sends poisonous snakes after them to bite them to punish them. And it's like, well, great. It's like they're sinning and now they also have like poison snakes after them. So they
strike one, strike two.
They asked Moses like, hey, if like could you maybe get God to like call the snakes off, and then instead of God calling off the snakes, he told Moses to create a rod with like a serpent head, and if you look into the eyes of the serpent, that makes you immune to the poison, which is interesting. It's not that it makes your problems go away, it's that it gives you the strength to resist your problems
when you face them.
Yeah, exactly. When you look into them, like right into the eyes, So it's like that's really interesting to me, at least. That's
so is it a possibility that perhaps she's not looking her problems head on? Is that since it was in reverse?
That would be where I'd want to get the rest of the context as far as like the whole Three of Wands thing goes. So like, what were we talking about with the wands representing earlier?
The wands represent the physical energy.
Physical energy.
Yeah,
like are you talking like
your passion, what you're putting your energy towards, like your creation.
So like that's like action.
Kinetic, yes, actions, exactly.
Interesting. Okay. So
aces are thoughts, cups are feelings, wands are actions, and pentacles are things.
Okay. And then with the moon in it as well, that guy right there. The moon for me represents like basically magic and mystery. Like it's the illusion. That's
the
like
illusion, exactly.
The standout feature about the moon is that it lights up the night sky. Except like that's an illusion. The moon doesn't produce light; it's the sun's reflection.
Right.
But like nonetheless, it's beautiful. It's like
So
the thing about the illusion is that, like, you know, it's a captivating illusion. It's like that's why we bother watching magic shows. It's like we all know it's not real magic, but nonetheless we're captivated by the illusion, you know.
right, exactly.
But
And so
I
the
guess
moon card does
since
actually represent illusion and illumination.
since it's in reverse though, maybe it could be a negative illusion. Maybe it could be like
Maybe
an illusion
she's,
that's actually like maybe it's self-deception for one, you know.
yeah,
Maybe it's you thinking that like the action that you're taking you think is like the right course of action, that you think it's the thing that's healing you, but really it's leading you astray. Maybe it's like you're actually wasting your energy on this thing. I find this a lot of time. Like I was actually just listening to like a video earlier today that was talking about like uh educational podcasts, right? And how like you kind of keep yourself on like a constant IV drip of dopamine, thinking that you're like improving your life by learning all these different things on podcasts and stuff like that. But like you really already know what you're supposed to be doing, and you're just kind of like wasting your energy, like your mental energy, on like trying to absorb all this information that's like irrelevant to that, and you're justifying it to yourself by saying that it's helping you and helping you grow. When
right,
really, if you would just do the stuff you already know you're supposed to do, then that would help you grow more, you know?
right, absolutely. If you do something and you want to learn how to do something and you do it for 20 minutes a day, eventually you'll become an expert at it. So I want to just say, like, I got the message to actually get the book or a book and look up the definition of this
That's cool.
card for you. And interestingly enough, I just opened the book to the Three of Wands. Okay.
Hey.
And imagine, and it says the reversed meaning says not dreaming big enough,
Oh, really?
fear coming up to block your movements. So the illusion
Yeah,
of
yeah,
fear,
exactly. That's the whole
right?
like not doing the things you know you're supposed to do and just like
Not
settling
making
for like
choices that are
doing the
good for
cheap
you,
dopamine
that are
hits.
in your best interest, right? Right. Yep. So that's
Do you got
interesting.
do you got big dreams that you're perhaps looking away from? That might be an
Or
indication.
perhaps she hasn't allowed herself to dream big enough.
Oh yeah,
Perhaps
that
she
too.
hasn't, there are some people out there who actually feel like they don't know. They don't know. They've never thought that there's something that they want to do. They've never had a dream because they've always been so rooted in like survival, you know? So they've
Yeah,
never actually
it's
given
like I don't have room to
themselves
breathe.
the
Like,
grace to dream of a life more than they know, not allowing myself to dream. Exactly. Hi, Ben.
as far as figuring out what your dream would be, like we were just talking about earlier today, it's like I would highly suggest you look back on your life like into your youth, because you'll like your whole backstory, you know, your whole upbringing and everything, it is a treasure trove of information to tell you about who you actually are, you know. It's like you're like I don't think it would be too much of a stretch to say like honestly your identity is fully formed when you're a child, you know. It's just that
That's
like
my new
the
seven.
process of like going through the trauma of growing up and actually like being flooded with the information overload that is the earth, you know, being made conscious of everything around you. It's like it's so distracting that it kind of like pulls you off the path of being who you are, you know. So it's
Mhm.
like they say that like, you know, the the whole like cycle of life and everything, it starts with you being like, you know, happy and free as a child, and then you like as you grow up it's like you become less free and more focused and you develop like competency. But then as you get into old age, the challenge becomes like not being more competent because you've already got that, but like rediscovering the joy of like your youth and having those two together in balance, you know.
Right. Absolutely. She said, thank you. I agree. All right. Let's do a card for someone else. How you doing, Ben? She said, unfortunately, I'm a people pleaser and never let myself spread my own wings. Well,
Oh, people
I have
pleasers.
to tell you
Oh
something,
no.
Sheila, and this is going to shock you. Okay. It's gonna shock you to your core. You're a person too. I'm just saying, if you're a people pleaser, don't forget that you're a person too. All right.
That's a tough one, man. People pleasers kind of they've got a challenge, I gotta say.
Oh, I know. I was a people pleaser for most of my life.
It's tough. Yeah, I find
But it's tough to realize that we're not here to be martyrs. We're not here to make sure that everyone else is happy. Your actual own purpose here, the only reason you're here is to make sure that you are happy, to love yourself, to make yourself happy, to make sure your journey is memorable and live to the fullest extent possible. That is why you are here.
yeah.
Okay. So you're literally wasting your life.
I'd be careful about using the word waste because, like, you're still learning things, you know. I think
you're wasting your lifespan making other people happy and comfortable, when at the end of the day, when you exit this earth, you're going to be like, fuck, that's right. I was supposed to do me this time, you know? And that's
I would maybe look at like, why are you a people pleaser? Because it's not just a self-evident thing. It's like there's usually like there's something it's pointing to. There's like some personal tendency within you.
Sure.
It's like maybe there's like sense of lack that you have. There's some sense of responsibility that you feel. I would try to investigate that and see what the root of that is, and see like how that actually applies to your own life, not like to other people's life. It's like how does that sense of lack and responsibility, how does that express itself in your life in a vacuum? If it was just you and you were like on an island, like a deserted island with nobody else, how would that bubble up, you know? Like, how would that express itself?
Wendy says, it's a control issue. If the people around you are happy, there's less room for trauma and chaos. It's exactly it is. It's a trauma response. Okay, yeah. People pleasing is 100% a trauma response. I had a very traumatic childhood, and people pleasing was my way of making sure that nothing bad happened to me. Mm-hmm. You know, if you make sure that everyone is around you is happy and you're the one making them happy, why would anything bad happen to you? Why would they direct anything bad towards you? So that's really what it is. It's a trauma response. How about someone please you? I know, right? I don't want to go out saying fuck. Exactly. And you know, and the thing of it is we don't see that clearly. We don't see, you know, but when I had the out of body experience, and I went back to the beginning of time and re-experienced my entire soul journey, and I was given all this information, and I realized, you know, at the end of the day, it's really going to be, what did you do for you? And we've been so programmed to think that selfishness is a sin, when really it's not. That's why you're here. You're here for yourself. You're here for your own soul journey. Okay. And if you can learn from other people, great.
Yeah.
And of course you're supposed to be nice to everyone. Of course you're supposed to love everyone. Of course.
Yeah, you don't want to be a dick all the time. Like,
no, don't be a dick.
But I feel like ego has become such a dirty word, you know?
Well, it's like a part of it.
We lay the sins of humanity at the ego. But it's just like, dude, no, your ego is like literally your sense of self, you know? It's like there's nothing wrong with it. It's like you have it for a reason. So it's like what I tell people is just like, dude, no, feed your ego. Feed it or else it'll starve. And it's only whenever the animal is starving that it starts lashing out and being violent and feral and crazy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like these people that we say are like egotistical and everything. It's because they're actually like denying themselves something very critical of themselves, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like if you were to take like I don't know, I guess like the stereotypical go-to example would be just like, you know, the macho man or something that's just like denying his feminine side, even though like that feminine side is actually a really crucial component of who he is. But since he's like locking it away, it's causing his ego to like lash out at everything around him, and so he's an asshole.
Well, it's so interesting because I really look at like what words mean. You know, I've been doing that a lot lately, kind of like looking at the base meaning of words. And if you think about it, and people say like the ego is bad and this and the super ego and all that, but honestly, it's low self esteem. Esteem is what you think of, how you see yourself. So it's like not seeing yourself right. And when you have low self-esteem, that's when you have narcissism, which people relate that to being
other ways by like
egotistical, right? But it's really not. It's the opposite of it. You know, it's low self-esteem. There isn't a single narcissist out there who has not been traumatized by a lack of self-worth. Truth. So, anyways, let's get back to the cards.
Let's do it. Who's next?
Okay, who's next? Tracy McGinley.
Tracy?
Tracy. Let's see what we got for Tracy.
Got 5 of Wands.
Ooh, 5 of Wands in reverse. It's upside
Oh, yeah,
downy.
in reverse.
5 of Wands in reverse for Tracy. So if Wands are the physical energy, the 5 of Wands, okay, is right in the middle of that. And so personally to me, the 5 of Wands, sometimes when you have tarot cards as 5 of Wands, it shows a bunch of lions fighting.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so the lion is the symbol of the Leo, and the lion is, symbolic of pride. And so the 5 of Wands to me always represents the card of the ego and being triggered.
So
your ego being triggered. That's what it means to me.
this is interesting,
So
because in my wizard adventures, I've come to see the lion as kind of the counterpart to the serpent. If like the serpent is associated with like Eve in the Garden of Eden, because like she's the one that understands the serpent. But the lion, I think, is associated more with like the masculine, because it's like, I mean, like it's like the big scary beast, and that's like how
Sure.
like aggression within masculine nature can like be perceived as, but it's just like the the image that I saw that sort of drew that association. Like I was mentioning the caduceus earlier with the coiled serpents, that can be seen as like representation of DNA. And
Oh, yeah.
if you think about the
True.
talking serpent, you
True.
think about like how DNA is represented by like letters, like ACG, etc. And like the symbol that I saw, it was 2 serpents coiling around each other, but one of them had the head of a lion, and it wasn't saying anything, but the serpent was speaking while they were like coiling up, and that was kind of like as like a representation of DNA goes, as a representation of like life, with like the serpent speaking the DNA into being, the language of life. It's like, how is life made? It's like, it's reproduction and everything. That's what DNA is for like creating life.
Absolutely. So what do you take that 5 of Wands in reverse to mean?
So if let's see.
So you're talking about
the
life.
Wands is going to be action, and it's got lions in it. Let's see. I mean, generally, I would say, like, in the broad sense, I think that generally masculinity is, like, associated with, like, direct action a lot of the time,
Yeah.
In reverse, though, gee, that could be taken a lot of ways, really. I don't know, is this... Tracy, you're saying you relate to the trauma response thing?
Yeah, Tracy said she really...
Maybe we ought to juxtapose these with the serpent,
Well, let's see what the 5 of Wands in reverse says in this book.
That's a great idea too.
It says an opportunity to collaborate, in-group fighting or arguments, being overly competitive, not following the rules, a tendency to avoid conflict to your detriment.
Oh, that drives me crazy, that stuff. I think that's the biggest thing that people pleasers are missing out on, is the whole like aversion to conflict thing, because it's like, dude, some of the most positive change in your life comes from you just rolling up your sleeves and just going knee deep into the shit. Like, have that fight, have that fight that you're dreading to have because you don't want to offend people, and like, oh, well, what if like the person abandons me or whatever? It's like, dude, they're not going to abandon you, and if they were going to abandon you, then you're better off without them anyways. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
you're making the problem a lot worse by like just avoiding it.
Perhaps
it's only going to get bigger, and it's going to get older and weaker.
But she did say she was a people pleaser. right? I think she said she was one of the people pleasers. So perhaps the cards are trying to tell you that it's time to have that conversation you've been avoiding with somebody. Perhaps it's
Yeah,
time
sounds
for
like
you to
it.
have the confrontation, to speak up, to speak your truth, to get it off your chest, to clear your chakras so you can get the energy flowing in your life again. Perhaps that confrontation is going to lead to a better relationship with that person, or it's going to lead you to a point where you can see whether or not that person really needs to be in your life anymore.
Yeah, which could be a bitter pill to swallow. I would know. I just like I lost my like best friend of like 13 years recently,
Yeah.
and it's just like yeah, there comes a point where you just got to be honest with like who you are and what you want. You need to see like how the people in your life are actually helping you towards that goal. It's like, are they actually like, are their interests aligned with yours long term? Or are they like trying to drain you long term? Is their vision of the future you fundamentally opposed to your vision of the future you?
Are they trying to
If it
keep
is,
you
if you,
in an old
yeah,
version of
if
yourself?
your goals aren't aligned, then it's just like maybe you gotta go your own way.
Well, it's really hard for people, honestly, Mitchell. It's really hard for people.
Oh yeah,
With
I know,
any
trust me.
relationship, in any kind of relationship, to come to a point where they are okay releasing that relationship. Like most
It's
people
hard.
feel like when somebody comes into their life, well, oh, I've got a best friend, like, this, like in their mind, they think this person's going to be my best friend forever, or
That's
this
what I
person's
thought.
going to be my love interest forever, or this person's going to be my sibling forever. But even sibling relationships, sometimes those are very toxic and not in your best interest. And it's one of those things where you have to put distance, you have to put space. And just like the cadius, is that what it's called, the two serpents and the
Oh,
DNA,
the Caduceus?
things come together and come apart. And sometimes
Yeah,
that coming together and coming apart happens in one lifetime, and sometimes it happens over the span of lifetimes, you
yeah.
know so that we are in this lifetime and coming apart. We won't come back together until we're in another lifetime. And that's a really hard thing for people to understand and to accept, because they have like an emotional codependency with a person. They build a
Yep.
relationship where they're like intertwined, their lives are intertwined, and they come to depend on them to fulfill an emotional role, or to satisfy some type of need in their life. And when you get to a point in the relationship where you're kind of becoming aware this person isn't really good for me anymore, but they still feel a need for me. They still do something for me that I can't do for myself. And it usually has to do with some kind of validation, honestly. And
Yeah.
because that's really what we're if we cannot find the love within ourselves to validate ourselves, we're constantly going to be seeking this emotional support system from the outside world. We're going to be looking for people to fill needs for us, that
If
we
I
can't
could,
do ourselves, we're
yeah,
not
if I could
aware.
go back to, my whole thing with my ex best friend as an example, it's like I remember there was like one day, like a number of years ago, where like we both kind of came to the realization that we were sort of using each other as like each other's journal, basically. We were like texting each other like constantly and like pretty much just like throwing all of our just like random thoughts at each other, all of our like opinions and feelings and stuff, or like feedback.
Mhm.
And then when I started journaling, and I realized that like for one, whenever you're journaling, you don't have to worry about offending anybody with any thought in your head. If like there are certain things that you wouldn't want to say in front of another person because like you just don't want to dig up any kind of whatever. It's just like you can speak freely in journaling. So I realized that like that itch that I was scratching by just like venting to him constantly, I was like I was feeling that a lot better on my own just journaling. But then another thing was happening at the same time, and that was like whenever I was actually like opening up to him with like my thoughts that were on my mind, he just became less and less and less receptive to it. And then I realized like once he wasn't receptive to like basically any aspect of my life that was personal to me in any way, our friendship was just reduced down to like us sending memes to one another. And I'm like, why are we friends anymore at this point? It's like if you don't actually care about me, if you don't really care about what's going on in my life and like what my thoughts and feelings are, the things that like kind of make me me, then like why are we Like,
Right.
what's going on here? What are we actually getting out of this? You know?
Right. Exactly.
So,
He no longer wanted to fill that role for you.
yeah.
He
And then
longer wanted,
when I called him on it, it's like he did not react well. Let's say that. And I
well,
was
that's
like, okay,
probably
then that's
triggered.
enough for me to know that like I'm done torturing myself to like try to salvage this friendship. If he doesn't even like, it takes two to tango. You know,
Mhm.
the way
Yeah.
that you know that a relationship is going to end is if you're the only one trying to save it. If the other person is not trying to save it at all, let go.
Yep.
Just like it will hurt, but it's like there comes a point where it's just like you're going to be crying and panicking, and then all of a sudden you just stop, and it's like a switch flicks in your head, and you just drop it, and you walk away. You wash your hands of it, and you're like, I need to stop wasting my energy on this. Like I'm going to drive myself insane if I keep on exhausting myself on this. You know.
Right. Exactly. Tracy said, "Thank you, spot on."
I'm glad it helped. I swear,
And
man, all of us people, we all just deal with the same problems. Like they just come in million
absolutely,
different
we're
colors.
all
Like,
doing the same journey. We're just in different spots on it. You know,
yep.
we're all walking the same jogging path, so to speak, but yeah, we're all just in
There's not
different
an
places.
original story under the sun.
Glenna said she would love a card, so let's give
Heck
a
yeah,
card
I'd
to
love to draw one.
Glenna Peach Williams.
Oh boy, we got the Page of Swords in reverse.
Page of Swords. Oh. And
Taking
what do
that
the
bird
swords
right
represent?
there, flying high overhead.
What do the swords represent?
The swords, if I remember right, that's like intellectual matters. So
Mental
it's like
energy. Yes.
yeah, that can be like mental energy and like concepts and philosophy, you know. It gets me thinking of like cognitive behavioral therapy, where like, you know, your thoughts actually do affect your like quality of life. You know, it's like the kind of person that you believe yourself to be. It's like if you believe fundamentally that you're a waste of space, then you're going to act like a waste of space. You know, you're going to see yourself like that, and you're never going to allow yourself to not feel like a waste of space. If you see yourself as somebody that's like tough, that keeps on getting up to like get back in the fight even whenever life kicks you in the teeth, then like you will model your behavior after that. You know, I know one of the things, like one of the famous aspects of like cognitive behavioral therapy, you can stop me if I'm going off on like way too much of a tangent, by the way, but like,
Well, I feel like the cognitive behavioral therapy is relevant to the person that you're giving the reading to.
the stuff is
Because
useful.
I feel like that was the very first thing that popped into your mind, and so that is actually the message that she needs to receive. The Page
There
of
you go.
Swords in reverse generally speaks of being closed-minded, not allowing yourself to see things in a new perspective. So
Yeah,
I
that
do
makes sense
believe
with the
cognitive behavioral
bird, because
therapy
like
could be relevant.
my first thought with the bird in this image and everything, it's just like I think of birds as like, you know, representations of freedom. You know, it's like we got a freaking eagle as like the mascot for the U.S. And yeah, if it's in reverse, then that could obviously like translate right into some sort of like lack of freedom. And if it's conceptual, then maybe that could be like, yeah, it could be related to the whole cognitive behavioral therapy thing, where it's just like your patterns of thoughts are restricting your freedom. You know, one of the famous thing that probably everybody's heard of with like cognitive behavioral therapy is exposure therapy. So you can take somebody that's like afraid of elevators, you know, because like if you ask them why they're afraid of elevators, and they'll spit out this insanely improbable elaborate fantasy where they think that they're going to get on the elevator, and then the doors are going to shut, and it's going to be their coffin, and then the cables are going to snap, and they're going to start falling all the way down all the floors, and it's going to crash, and they're going to die. And it's like, dude, that is not going to happen.
Like the odds of that are
that
and see,
is
what do
insane
they
and
do?
unhinged. Yeah.
What do
And
they
it's
do?
like they won't hear that, you know, because it's like that's like hardwired thought. That's thought that's been built over the course of years from habit, you know.
Yeah.
And it's
The
like every time
irrational
that they
fear.
shy away from the elevator, that reinforces that pattern of thoughts.
Right.
So like you fix that with exposing yourself. It's like staring into the serpent rod, you know, by
Right.
facing the fear.
And it's
And it's
slowly
like that
over
doesn't
time. It's
mean,
not like, hey, let's go get on
yeah.
an elevator. It's like, let's
It's like
talk about
how about to
elevators.
start you look at a picture of an elevator.
You look at a
It's
picture
like,
of
and
an
that sounds
elevator.
ridiculous. You're gonna be like, come
Right.
on, man, like, but it's like, no, really, like,
Right.
really give it a shot. It's like, how
And you
about you
just
start by
become
closing your eyes and visualizing an elevator?
catastrophizing. Did I say that right, Randy? Miss Dr. Randy.
Catastrophizing, yeah.
Dr. Randy, did I say that right? Dr. Randy. I probably said it
Exactly.
wrong.
That's like that's that whole thing is like, if you're catastrophizing, if you like if you have a kind of thought pattern that insists that the worst case scenario will happen, then like, and that the only real course of action is to avoid it, then you're going to turn into a person that just avoids bad things. But it's like, I kind of got a wake up call here for you, man. It's just like, you're going to die someday. That is a reality you're going to have to deal with. You
What are
can't get
the
away
odds
from
that-
that.
Hold on.
You
What are the
can't
odds
shelter
that
yourself away from that. Like,
what are the odds that Dorothy is here watching tonight? And she says, I'm terrified of elevators. So one day I tried to be brave and
it's
got
a
on
more
one and
common
it
fear
got
than you'd
stuck.
think. Like,
Never again.
that's why that's kind of the go-to example with like the exposure therapy thing. There's a lot of people afraid of elevators. Like,
yeah,
it's like they see a coffin when they look at an elevator.
yeah.
They're like, I'm gonna go in there and I'm never gonna come out. And it's like, yep, that's that's a heck of a thing to grapple with right there.
Maybe Dorothy needs to hear this. Maybe Dorothy needs cognitive behavioral therapy.
Maybe
right?
a great place you can start is by like say if you have like intrusive thoughts, try like the thought comes at you without your consent. Like you're going through your day and then you like I don't know, you think of your ex-girlfriend or something like that, and that just evokes all these like terrible emotions in you. Something you can do whenever you're feeling like good, when you're feeling calm and peaceful, say you're like settling down for bed at the end of the night, you can try consciously pulling those thoughts forward. That would be kind of like the first step of like a like a cognitive behavioral kind of like exposure therapy type thing. Is like, okay, so you're being plagued by intrusive thoughts on your ex. So it's like, get yourself in a nice calm situation, take yourself a nice hot bath, get some incense going, all that fun stuff, get nice and comfy, and then sit down and be like, all right, I'm going to start thinking about my ex now, because you're giving yourself agency when you do that,
Right.
And that's the thing that's going to make you feel strong. And the thing about fear is that like, you won't stop being afraid of elevators. Right. What you'll become is brave enough to face the fear of elevators.
Exactly.
Which is more valuable than if you were to just like be ignorant of the fear, which is like what you would want to do if you're just like trying to stop being afraid of it. Is just like, oh, I wish I would just never have these thoughts at all. But it's just like,
right.
If you see death when you see an elevator, then it's like, that's what that fear is ultimately pointing to at the end of the day. And you can't just get rid of your fear of death. That's not how it works. Right. It's going to be there. You have to train and become stronger so that way you can face the fear of death like boldly, like stand up to it and stare it in the eye. That's the only way you're going to get out of it,
So
Glenna,
I hope the Page of Swords in reverse explanation, intuitive messages from Mitchell makes sense to you as far as what you're going through. Maybe it's time for you to face a fear that you have had in your life, something that you've been avoiding, something that's been keeping you from your full potential, holding you back from real happiness in your life. We also got a donation from Shannon.
Oh, thank you.
So
Shannon.
we'll pull a card for Shannon since Shannon sent a donation.
Absolutely.
Logical flexibility. Absolutely. Mine is the fear of a new job, she said. Getting back out there. Glenna says she's getting back out there. Yep. Fear of a new job.
That could be a tough one. Yeah. Like I was talking about earlier, like think back to your childhood. The thing that made you weird is the thing that's going to be the thing that makes you successful in your life, So just look back on what you were passionate about as a kid and try to like reconnect with that and re-explore that, and like have some faith in it too, though. Like don't think like, oh well, I like to dance and stuff as a kid, but like you can't make it as a dancer. It's just like, dude, whose opinion is that? Is that your opinion, or is that like your picture of like society's opinion? It's like, who cares what society thinks? It's like you got to follow your genuine, authentic path. And
Well, I
then
mean,
people,
honestly,
people
and I'm
see that
a
authenticity and they'll appreciate you for it. They'll
well,
come
and
for you, you know, like
I'm really a good example of that because most of my life I worked, in the restaurant industry doing restauranteering and stuff like that. And
yeah.
then
And I
I went to
remember when you
school.
told me, like, whenever we like your logic to me was that just like, oh, you know, Mitch, if you learn how to work in a restaurant, you'll be able to get a job anywhere. And it's like, yeah, that's a very practical, utilitarian thing to do right there. So
Yep,
is becoming a doctor or a lawyer. But it's like if those aren't things that speak to your passions, then
right,
they're like inauthentic to you, you know?
right.
It's like you don't
And
want a one size fits all thing. You want
right.
something that fits you. You need that perfect pair of jeans, you know?
True. But there is always, that to fall back on if
Oh,
your
of course, yeah,
jeans
yeah.
don't fit, you can go buy a new pair being a waiter in a restaurant. So anyways,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was the reason why like I wanted y'all to always be able to have something that you could do in any town, in any
Hmm.
state, in any country, really honestly, because like everybody has to eat. So
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is like I worked in the food service industry my whole life. I went to school for healthcare management. I went to college for 7 years,
I remember that.
and then right at the end, I'm just like, well, something else is gonna make me happier. I'm gonna be a psychic,
Yeah.
and so that it does
And
it is
you've been denying it your whole life, and then all of a sudden you're just like, I'm done wasting energy on denying this. Like,
yeah, I'm denying the fact that I can see dead
take
people
that
and
leap of
hear
faith,
dead
exactly.
people. I'm just gonna do what comes natural to me. What and helping people does make me happy. So,
Yep.
um, Glenna says, "I'm
It's
so
like
glad I
what's
came
that
in
whole
tonight."
line about like getting out of your own way, right? It's like you'll
Yep,
realize once you
exactly.
finally accept it and you finally like let go of that voice that's telling you like, oh no, you can't follow your authentic self because you like some bad thing will happen, you know? It's just like once you let go of that,
People will say
then
things about you,
everything
or
just yeah,
yeah,
everything just lines up. You know, it's like all of a
yeah,
sudden like the universe is ready to just give you what you want as soon as you
yep,
like stop fighting it. If you just let it.
exactly. And Glenna says, "I'm
I'm
so
glad
glad I
you
came in tonight. I so needed to hear this. Thank you."
glad I could help.
Randy,
I'm having fun. This is
Randy's
great.
badge just changed to 2 years. Gosh, Randy,
Oh
I can't
hey,
believe we've known each other that long. When I spoke to Randy the first time, she was thinking about going to nursing school,
there you go. You
to
still thinking about
continue
it?
her nursing to be what is that, prescribing nurse, and now she's Dr. Randy. She's a nurse doc.
Dang,
She's Dr.
look at
Randy.
you.
So look at her. She's a busy bee. She's a go getter.
Heck yeah.
Anyway,
Good. I wish I
but
had that. I wish I had that kind of type A crazy nonsense.
well, you're an air sign, so it's okay. Your life takes
Yeah.
place in the present. Well, I mean, y'all just really, I really think y'all are more towards the creative bent. Like Mitchell. So y'all don't know this, but Mitchell also is a lyricist. He wrote 2 songs, and they're amazing. And he's also teaching himself how to play guitar. I really feel like he genuinely has a gift with music. I think he should follow that passion,
Thank you.
because the universe told you, that you should do that you should learn how to play guitar, and the universe told you to write those songs, and so I think that you should follow that. I really do. Um, and just a reminder, I did buy you a guitar for your 14th birthday. I mean, and I'm
Yeah.
a clairvoyant. So I mean, I'm just saying he never learned how to play when he was 14. He never wanted to pick the damn thing up.
Dude, I didn't know
But
what the heck I wanted when I was a kid.
true.
I had some notions, but I was also so completely and utterly riddled with insecurity. I had zero faith in myself to do anything.
I
Like
think all
so,
kids are like that. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
unless they have somebody literally pumping them up 24/7. But anyways, Shannon.
yeah, yeah. We were talking about the reverse page ones, right?
No. Yes. No. Yes. Yes.
That was
I'm
one of my
sorry. I
groups.
was I was being
So
reminded. We just saw the page of swords, and so I was like, wait a minute. No. Okay,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
different. Shannon, are you guys related? This is
What's
my
that? Yeah.
son, Tracy. For those of you just coming in, this is my boy. This is the boy. This is my
Oh my
son,
boy.
Mitchell. He's 28 years old. He's single. He lives in Texas. Ladies. Um, ladies, just ladies, right? Yeah, ladies.
Just ladies.
Well, in this day and
Um,
age, you never know with anyone. Okay, Shannon, we have a card for you. Elspeth, I still don't know what I want to be when she's like 60 something. Elspeth, you're crazy.
Dude, yeah.
Yes, this is my son. This is my son. Yeah, I
Don't
I mean,
you're
I don't
never
know.
too old to like find your path. Remember that. It's like I find myself referencing the Bible a lot. I'm not a Christian per se, but it's like the Bible's still like full of lots of really good life lessons and everything. So like geez, what was the guy's name? I can't believe I'm blanking on this. Abraham, right? He was like 90 years old whenever God was all like, Abraham, what are you doing with your life? Like, go get out of the house, man. Go move out of your mother's basement and figure out what you're doing. And he's just like, do I have to? And he's just like, dude, do it and you'll have the world, you know? And he's like, oh, well, you know, that's a pretty sweet deal right there. I guess I should do it. Like, you're never too old.
I guess I have to.
Yep. Today is the day, always, you know?
Always.
These are your golden years, period. Not
There's
like,
no-
you know, sometime in your past, whenever you peaked in high school and it's only been downhill from there. Not like, you know, when you're like retired and in your 70s and you've got nothing but free time. It's like, it's now. Now are the golden years.
Exactly.
This is your life.
There's no time like the present.
Actually, who commented? I think it was I can't look at the comments, but somebody on there was just saying something about
what?
About your life is in the present.
Let me look. Randy, Dr. Randy, your life takes place in the present. Yep. I feel like if people realize that when they are lost in thought, that would happen if they stopped and engaged in the present. This will focus on this moment, and practicing being fully present is so powerful. You know, and it is actually, because all your power, you lose your power when you take yourself out of the present moment, because everything is happening right now. The past has already happened in the present moment. The future is going to happen in the present moment, whenever that present moment happens. So all of your power is in the present moment. You know, and and like I used to tell people, think of yourself as like a bowl of water, you know, and if you tip your water to the past, you're spilling your emotion, you're spilling your water, and you will no longer have a full bowl of water. And also it's causing all these like vibrations and mess inside of your bowl of water. You know, you're creating all these waves and tension. If you spill your water into the future, then you're losing energy to that. And so you have to kind of try to keep your bowl as still and calm, and such a Buddhist thing to say, but keep your bowl of water still and calm, you know, stay right here, right now. Don't worry about what's going to happen. Don't think about what's already happened, because when you spend all of your time in either one of those destinations, you're losing everything going on now.
And this is making me a picture. I'm really guilty of like hopping in the car with like a full cup of coffee, you know, that's like a death sentence. And it's like you kind of learn whenever you like when you turn and the inertia starts like dragging you this way and everything. It's like you gotta tilt the cup.
You gotta tilt the cup.
So that way it, like the surface goes with the flow, you know. So you gotta learn.
Right, and that's how you kind of have to do your bowl. You know, you have to kind of be fluid and kind of just try not to spill your bowl and stay in the present moment. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing.
It's like the future, like your visions of the future are kind of giving you ideas of what to anticipate and like which way you should like bend with it, you know?
Right.
It's not there for you to like stress about it. The past is to give you sort of like the model of like how that flow works, you know? It's like you base your model of the future based off the past. You're like, it's pattern recognition at the end of the day, you know?
Right.
It's like,
absolutely.
The past was like, in the past you were taking all these turns and everything. It's like, if this is becoming a pattern, if like these turns keep happening, you can probably anticipate that those turns are going to go on into the future. And that's empowering, actually, because that gives you foresight, so you can anticipate those turns and you can go with them, you know?
I got a perfect score on pattern recognition on my IQ test.
Heck yeah, pattern recognition's great.
Yeah, I'm really, really good at pattern recognition.
We're going on too many side quests, though. So
wait. Squirrel. Okay. Page of Wands for Shannon. Okay, Page of Wands. So what do we think about this?
Page of Wands. We were just talking about the Page of Swords, right? We're getting a lot of reverse cards.
We are. Is your deck upside down? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. So the swords was like thought and philosophy and intellectual things, while the wands is more about action, right?
Action and physical energy. Yep.
So the page is the apprentice of the knight, if I remember right. It's like, you know, you've got the the knight and their like squire.
So the
So
page would be the initial or the initiator.
yeah, it's like the page is the initiate, and they're in like a support role. It's like your first day on the job whenever you like shadow somebody, so that way you like see how they do it, and it's like you're helping them too, you know, but you're
Right,
also learning. You're
right,
watching closely. You're like soaking
right.
up everything that they do. So you're like the I guess the action that you're taking is like, you know, one, no support, but it's also kind of like a vicarious action too, you know. It's like by your action you're also observing their action, and you're modeling your behavior after that, because those are the shoes that you're going to fill someday. But if it's in reverse, then I guess what is the upset here, you know, like what's going on
Hmm.
with that?
Right.
Is it
Where do you feel like you have been, you know, um, pushed down, suppressed? Um,
maybe what it is that you are taking after the wrong people.
mhm.
You know, you kind of see that with like toxic friends and everything. It's just like they say that your personality is an amalgam of like, you know, your five closest friends. So
Mhm.
like, who are those friends? You know, this is the reason that like alcoholics relapse a lot of the time, is because like all their friends are alcoholics. How do they expect to stay sober if like the very first weekend that they get coming back from like rehab and everything, their friends are like, let's go to the bar, and then they tell themselves like, oh, I think I can handle going to the bar and not drinking, and then they've like gotten themselves blackout drunk by the end of the night.
Sure,
It's like, that's
sure.
not your fault really. It's like it's those friends, you know. It's like that's kind of
Well,
it's like your brain has developed all those neural pathways that like, you know, it's the whole cognitive behavioral therapy thing. It's just like those are your thought patterns that
right.
like lead you
It's
down
your
that road. It's like
it's the
those
behavior
paths
that
are
you're
so clearly carved already. They're ready to go, you know.
right.
Like as soon as they've got
So
the incentive to activate those neural pathways, they're done. Like
so
totally.
so the suggestion for Shannon would be to
Start surrounding yourself with the right people. Start like being a little bit more wise about like your choice in friends. You want your friends to be people that you aspire to be like in some way. You don't want to have to be them, but
right,
like the things that motivate them,
right.
you want to model your behavior after those things,
Hmm.
because like
Absolutely.
you learn a lot just by watching people, by watching what they do, you know, not what they say. Don't listen to what they say,
No,
because like
absolutely. Words are just
people don't
words.
know anything, you know. Pay
Words
attention
are
to what they do, pay attention to the action, you know.
Dr. Randy says, well, it's an addiction, so it's a little more than that, but I
Well,
get what you're saying.
yeah.
And
Like
true, true.
addiction's a
But being
complex thing.
in an
There's a
environment that
lot,
would
but
contribute to the delinquency of your addiction is not
yeah.
healthy for you when you're trying to be sober.
Yeah, it's not going to help. You're trying to carve out those new neural pathways, and it's going to take a lot more time and effort. And every time that you stray away from the new neural pathways, you're not helping it get stronger, you know.
Exactly. So, does that card make sense to you, Miss Shannon? Tonight we get to learn things and watch Misty and Mitchie juggle squirrels. Hey, truth.
Yep.
You know, we're just throwing them
I'm
back
a
and forth.
tangent man. What can I say?
Choices are sometimes
I'm
habits.
glad you
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I mean,
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, and honestly, there's
you
there's
can
so
think of your
much
entire
to
life as
say.
just a collection of habits, you know.
There's so
Like you
much to
are a
say
collection of habits.
about alcoholics, but I won't even get started on it. I have severe anxiety disorder. Maybe it's related to that. The people that you are around will contribute to your anxiety in the form of
Absolutely.
energy. Okay, so
Yep.
if you are, you know, I'm just gonna pull things out of the air. So let's just say you're vibrating at a level of like 75. Okay, you're vibrating at an energy level of 75. Let's just put a value on it
Some arbitrary
for this
number. Yeah.
example. Okay, and so you're at 75, and the people around you are like 60 or lower. Okay, and some of them are maybe like 5 or 10 or make negative 10. Okay, so we've always got that negative, extremely toxic person in our life. It seems like everyone has one.
Yep.
So you have all these people who are vibrating at a number lower than where you are, and they're going to be pulling you because energy is very magnetic. Okay, so if you're 75 and the person next to you is 60, they're going to pull you out of your 75 to like 67. Okay, which is going to drain you. and a little, and it's going to put you in a different vibration than where you were by yourself at 75. So then what happens? So then we feel not okay. We start feeling anxiety, panic attacks. We start getting burning sensations under our skin, fluttering, nausea in some respects. Mitchell, put your crotch away.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my phone charged. It's about to die.
So when you're around people with a lower vibration than you, you're constantly being pulled down. Okay. And
you're modeling yourself after their behavior.
And you're exposing yourself to lower vibrational energies. And your body will respond to that energy. Okay. So if
it doesn't even have to be like people around you necessarily, because like
no, it can just be energy.
It can be like, have you heard of parasocial relationships?
What's that?
Well, like how many of the people that are watching the stream right now are people that you've actually met? Like in real life,
I don't know who all is watching this stream.
So I'd be willing to bet that there's at least one person on here that has never actually been in a room with you, has never actually seen you in person.
Most of these people have not.
They get the sense that they know you in some regard, they're familiar with you, and that's called a parasocial relationship. It's like that's something that you develop with like TV personalities a lot too, So like you could be modeling your behavior based off of who you're watching too. The kind of person that's like, we'll take the news, like, why are you watching the news? Because it's just apocalypse porn all the time,
Yep.
You're just torturing yourself going on the news. You're overloading yourself with negativity. So it's just like, exercise some mental hygiene when it comes to the things that you like consume with your eyeballs, because like that will affect your worldview like pretty intensely,
Absolutely.
So it's like if you find yourself watching a lot of stuff like online that like kind of paint the world and other people to just be like horrible, and that just like everything is just awful.
They actually bend a name on it, Mitch. It's called doom scrolling.
Yeah, it's doom scrolling. Like, so that's an action right there. Like, if you catch yourself doom scrolling, stop. Like.
So
and like it's okay if you do it, like forgive yourself, don't be like, oh no, I'm doom scrolling again, like where is my life? No, don't do any of that crap. Don't go down that.
Now I need to watch videos of puppies and kitties.
Don't feel guilty about it. Like just notice that you're doing it, exercise some mindfulness, and be like, oh, my thoughts wandered into doom scrolling, let's stop. And
yeah,
that's it.
Right.
And then you just leave it. You close Instagram and you're done.
So Shannon says she's an empath, an introvert, and also a nurse. So she's got the 333. You need to practice grounding, clearing your energy. You can use lots of different things to help you with that. You can use essential oils like clary sage. You can use
deep breaths.
Crystals. Black crystals will help clear your energy. Grounding is very important for any empath, okay? Because that is the release of energy that doesn't belong to you and putting you back at like a 0 point energy connection with the earth. You can bathe. You can take a salt bath. You can put a few drops of essential oil in your bath as well. You can use Epsom salt, sea salt. You can use pink Himalayan salt. Any of those salts are good. Taking a salt bath, or you can take a shower and just consciously think to yourself that you're washing off any energy out of yourself that doesn't belong to you. I like to compare empaths to energy sponges. So throughout the day, you kind of use your sponge to clean people's energy, and you're collecting all this garbage, and you need fresh water to clear that energy out and wring out your sponge. So make sure you do some of those practices. Okay, you can also use like herbs and things of that nature. Lavender is great. You could put lavender under your pillow, or and that will help you sleep good at night. You can also ask your angels and guides to protect your energy. You can also do visualization practices to put a bubble of protection around yourself so that you are not taking in any negative energy. Okay. All right. Somebody said
home from work, and like it's so nice. It makes such a big difference,
Yeah, exactly.
Throw some Epsom salts in there, like get a candle going, turn off the light and everything, and just be like, and just like let all that
Exactly.
crap go. Like,
Yep. Let it go. So somebody wanted to know, do you think your son will move near you out west?
it's probably looking like it. Yeah,
I hope so.
there's not really
I
a lot
miss
here for me in Texas anymore. Like,
Well, every place
I
has an
used it up
experience.
for all it's got.
Yeah, it's given you all that it could give you, and it's time for you to move on.
Yep.
Okay. Barefoot in your garden. Absolutely. You have to be barefoot
Oh
to
yeah.
do grounding. And if people are wondering what grounding is, it's literally connecting to the ground or the earth. And you have to do that without shoes on because most shoes have a rubber sole. And as most people know who deal with electricity, like electricians always use rubber gloves, things that are insulated against electricity to keep them from getting zapped, right? So when you wear sneakers and they have rubber soles, that keeps you from connecting to the earth's energy. It kind of creates a barrier between you and the earth. So when you do go outside to ground, take your shoes off. It can happen very quickly. It doesn't have to be hours or whatever. You can just go out there for 5 minutes. You can always put your arms around a tree and connect in that way. My son,
Okay,
I
well,
know he's so good looking.
another thing I would add is who has ever come home from work with sore feet?
Honestly.
Show of hands. So things to keep in mind is that humans did not evolve wearing shoes. We evolved to walk around on our feet. So like I would say here with the whole walking around barefoot thing because like shoes are not actually made for feet.
No.
The shoes are
No.
actually a lot more narrow than our feet are, and they kind of crush your feet, and that's why your feet feel exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
And like you can fix that a couple of different ways. I know they like just walk around barefoot for one. Like try going on barefoot walks, and I also know that you can buy these things called toe spacers. You know, it's like ladies use them for like painting their toenails and stuff like that. But it's like you can also just wear them like whenever you're like not having to work and stuff like that. They also make special shoes too. People are actually designing shoes like for feet now, and I'm not talking about the weird like shoes with like toes on them and everything. They're like you can look into them. They're called minimalist shoes. The
Oh,
idea is
that's
that like the soles that we have in our shoes are like too thick, and they don't give you any tactile feedback from the ground, and that actually like ruins your arches. That ruins your foot health overall.
I've got these that
So
are like wide on the
yeah,
toe.
yeah, they've got that weird like fan thing at the end of them
Yeah.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's
Super.
supposed to give your toes room to spread out whenever you're walking. That's what
They
your foot
really
is
do.
supposed to do when you walk. That's what it evolved to do.
They really do. They do allow your feet a lot of room to exist in a shoe.
Yeah.
How old is your son? My son is just turned 28 last month.
Yep.
What is it when you attract broken people? That means that you are attracting people who need. There's several different reasons why you can attract broken people.
Yeah, that's a complicated question.
It is a very complicated. We'll get to that in a minute. Are we all finished with this reading that we were doing?
With that reverse wand, page of wands.
Yeah, we got. Elspeth said she sent a donation for you, Mitch. So
Really
we're gonna
appreciate
do
it.
card for Elspeth.
But who is the reading for? Sorry, I'm
That
not
was
good
for
with names.
Shannon.
For Shannon. So yeah, like I don't know. Is that resonating with you? Everything we said so far. I know it was a lot. So we went on a
We
couple
kind
side
of got off
quests in
on
there.
a tangent there, but it's all good in the hood. Hi, Connie. How are you, darling? So good to see you.
Hi, Connie.
Hi, Amanda. Are you single? My boy is single. He lives in Texas. He's 28 years old. So wearing compression socks helps sore legs. Sure. It does resonate. She said, thank you both. Okay, wonderful.
Good.
Perfectly wonderful. So we'll do
I got like one more note I want to throw in on the whole like foot thing and everything. It's just like, dude, your feet are literally the foundation of your body. Like your all of the stuff that happens above your feet is going to be affected by the strength of the foundation. So like, take care of your feet.
That's why my perfect mate is going to give me foot rubs. And he's not my perfect mate unless he wants to give me foot rubs.
For real, yeah.
Well, I will wait for that guy, the perfect foot rubber. No, she's
But
not
yeah,
single.
I'm done with the feet thing. We can move on. So who's next? Ready for
Okay,
another one?
next we have Elspeth because Elspeth sent a donation.
100%. So we got the Four of Pentacles, and we got another serpent on here.
Ooh.
This is a lovely looking card, I must say.
It is very interesting the way that it's been laid out.
Yeah, it's like seeing a lot of sidewinding going on in there.
Yeah. Lots of side winding in and out of the pentacles.
So,
Interesting.
like we were, let's see, the pentacles, also the coins, they represent the material. And let's see, the four. So I see the arrangement of those pentacles, and that kind of that reminds me of a couple of things. That, like, for one, that kind of reminds me a little bit of like a compass, cardinal directions and everything. But I could also think of like the four elements. And let's see, if we're going to throw the serpent into the mix, we were talking about the theme of the serpent being like regeneration and life, language, and the divine feminine. So we've got that wrapped around I guess the four elements. It's like that's ultimately going to be a representation of the material world, so that fits in just perfectly with like the theme of pentacles and everything. This one's going to be right side up, so this is the first not reverse one that we've gotten in a minute. What am I getting off of this one?
Just listen to your intuition.
My intuition doesn't have much to say on here.
Well, my intuition, when I speak to my intuition, I just ask it, what does Elspeth need to know from this card? And I let my ego step aside and I just say whatever comes through me.
So, the serpent is also associated with the dragon. That's one thing that's sticking out to me right now. You can think of the serpent as a sort of like imperfect dragon,
Dragons are very wise.
They are, yeah.
So would it be wise in the material respect? Wise as far as life? And that's right, Elspeth, there's no wrong answers.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm grabbing at anything that I can and just trying to connect dots and stuff.
And that's literally what the card means. Grabbing and holding on to the pentacles.
Yeah, I mean, the snake is like, it is coiled around the pentacles or the coins or however you want to look at it. And
so
if you look at the coins as sort of representation of the world, you're kind of like, with the combination of the four elements and the four cardinal directions, the serpent is coiled around like the world. It's coiled around everything,
Yeah.
And let's see, I guess there is an imperfect version of wisdom in that, I would say, because you can't be everywhere all the time.
Right.
But like at the same time, you're, like we were saying earlier, it's like you're a collection of habits, like life is kind of a balancing act. It is a juggling act. So it's like there is something to say for keeping like all 20 fingers and toes in like every single pie, I guess the only warning that would come with that is just make sure that you're not like trying to do too much, really. You can spread yourself too thin.
So I would take that to mean, honestly, given that your messages that you've received, that perhaps she's trying to hold on to the past, hold on to keep everything, hold everything together, when if you could just let go of past versions of yourself, or let go of past ways that you used to live. Like Elspeth is going through a lot of changes right now in her life. There's a lot going on. She's got medical assistance that she didn't have before. She's got a new kitchen so she can more easily access things. And so there's a lot of new things coming into her life. And the card kind of makes me think of like, stop holding on to the past, stop holding on to the way things used to be. Allow yourself to kind of shift into this newer version. Everything doesn't have to be the way it was. If we weren't happy there, everything wasn't perfect in that version. So kind of
Oh,
like,
but what about all the work that we put into it, though? It's just like, are we really going to let that go to waste? And it's like that's a logical fallacy right there. Like that is worth holding on to just because we put work in it.
I've been grabbing everything offered lately. I fought hard for most of it. Exactly. But you can't hold on to everything. So you have to let go of some things that you don't need anymore.
Think of it like we were talking about the dragon earlier. It's like the dragon's usually associated with like a gold hoard too, right? So it's like, is the dragon the gold hoard? It's like the dragon is the thing that gets the gold hoard. Right. It's not, they're not inseparable.
Right.
It's like the dragon definitely values the gold hoard, but ultimately it's the dragon that got it. It can get another one. It can let go of the one that it's got now.
Absolutely. Okay. The
serpent regenerates.
Trying to. Inger, where did you send that to? So today, she says, today, I changed the lock codes on my doors so that let go of some things for sure. Okay, so she did have people living in her house that were unsavory characters. And so she learned how to change the lock codes on her door so people won't just be coming in her house anymore, because even though she kicked them out, they keep coming back. So that's a big deal. That's major cut ties. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I don't see it, sweetheart. Did you press confirm? Ingrid, did you press confirm? Because it didn't come through. Maybe it's just my phone. Let me check.
I notice so some of the best advice that I ever heard when it comes to breakup advice is like, freaking, you more than likely have pictures of like your ex on your phone. Like, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Why are you holding on to that? It's like because of the sentimental value. It's like if looking at that stuff, if even knowing that stuff is on your phone causes you pain, which like it does, like somewhere deep down it does.
Sure.
Get rid of that. Get out of sight, out of mind. Flush that shit down. Like,
and I can attest to that about the whole invoking, or creating like an emotional disturbance in the force, because I deleted all the pictures of Travis off of my phone.
Yep.
Okay. Google,
block them on social media, block their numbers.
Google Memories continues to give me like random pop-up pictures of Travis. I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? I don't have this in my Google Photos. I don't have this on my phone. I've never seen this picture of him before. Why am I getting? They keep, and it, memories for you. Here you go. Here's a picture of him. I'm like, why?
Oh, great, thanks.
Yeah, but it always does, create, an emotional response. So yeah, get rid of everything, burn everything, get rid of it. It's not that important unless it's
and this is an old idea too, because like even with like the shamanic tradition with like ayahuasca and stuff out of like South America, they're like, this stuff makes you puke. They say that like what it's doing, it's like it's causing you to like eject all the toxins out of your body, and the term is la purga. And it has like, in the culture, there's like this kind of like religious significance to it. It's a sacred act to purge, because it's like it's expelling all the poison, it's expelling the toxins. So it's like, flush it all down, cleanse yourself, because you're not going to be able to heal as long as you've still got poison in you.
I had thought about doing the ayahuasca, and then I heard it makes you puke, and I was like, never mind.
Dude, it makes some people shit. Like,
I'll just pass.
It makes some people shit. hard. Like
I
the
don't want to
freaking
puke
people
or
walking
shit.
out, like they've got like this like little like shamanic wooden hut and everything, and then there's just like this little bathroom, like a modern bathroom attached to the side with like tile floors and porcelain toilets and everything. And like 2 hours into it, it's like there's people walking around, they're like covered in brown, like the whole tile floor is just a mess and everything. And it's like they're tripping too hard to even be associated with any of it. It's like you get so gross going through that process that you can't mentally handle being gross anymore, so you just stop caring.
Tracy's like,
whatever.
I'm never drinking that. I'm never drinking it either, Tracy. Ever. Ever.
I would love to do ayahuasca, honestly. Like, I mean, it's the whole connection with Mother Earth thing, man. The stuff is sacred. The stuff is ancient.
I get it, but Jesus, good Lord.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. I'll never do those mushrooms either. I don't know, Tracy. I don't know. Mushrooms have, there's a lot of clinical research that's being done on psilocybin and how it can help people with PTSD. It can help people quit drinking. It can help people quit smoking. It can help people with all kinds of emotional, mental disorders. Obviously under a doctor's care, or you can do it yourself, honestly. But I feel like it's one of those things that's kind of like uncharted territory, like the ocean, that people just don't know the possibilities of. I mean, if you've looked into how widespread the fungi community is underground, you'd see that it really is like a neurological network underground connected, and it kind of feeds the trees and it brings the nutrients to where they need to go. And so I feel like it might kind of possibly have the same effect on the human mind. I mean, it's just depending. I've never done it per se,
kind of the
but I
thing
feel
that
like
makes like all psychedelics sort of work off the same thing, which is like they take unrelated bits of information in your head and find associations between them. So it's like that's why like psychedelics are associated with like neuron growth and stuff like that. Even though like the science is a little on the idea of like people growing new neurons and everything, but like it's making your memory more efficient by like connecting disparate ideas together. And that whole phenomenon of disparate ideas connecting together is also sort of at the basis of creativity too. That's why you see like you take like the Beatles before psychedelics and after psychedelics, and it's like they're not even in the same world.
Right. Absolutely. I feel like with everything, and I mean that generally, with everything is fine in moderation. I don't feel like anyone should do anything excessively. I feel like people are kind of going overboard with marijuana and doing that excessively. Everybody's got a gosh darn medical card these days, and it's like you don't actually need it. You know what I mean? And it's just a coping mechanism. I personally feel like some things are just a coping mechanism. Alcohol, fine in moderation. Marijuana, fine in moderation. Acid, DMT, everything, fine in moderation, but don't go excessively, right? And what I mean by excessively is when like it starts to affect your life, in a negative way, whatever. I read somewhere that mushrooms can repair and improve neural pathways. Exactly what Mitchell just said. There's a big misconception about the use of psychedelics of mushrooms. It's a very small amount that's used. True.
Yeah, I would say like honestly, if you really are like considering trying magic mushrooms and everything, like first off, do your research, but like second off, start small always. Like you want to test the waters, you want to dip a toe before you jump in, So it's like work your way in 1 foot at a time, get yourself down to your knees and everything. And it's like this is usually a process that's going to take like a number of.
All right, we're not going to go into the whole how to take trips.
Yeah, I don't want to go on too much tangent, but
we're doing tarot cards. Okay.
Yeah.
But Danielle has a point that she wanted to make, and I wanted to agree with her 100%. The marijuana that's out now is all man-made, yes, and there's such a high THC content in it.
Yeah, they're making
research.
these crazy
a lot of people are ending up with schizophrenia because of the marijuana that's out now. It's pretty well. First of all, I just want to say, I do DoorDash. I don't know about you, Mitchell, and you obviously have smoked pot and been around it. I honestly cannot. I'm 47 years old and I've been around marijuana my whole life, and I have never smelled such stinky, yucky weed. I mean, it's everywhere. It lingers, it permeates in the air. It doesn't smell natural. It literally smells like they stuck a fucking needle in a skunk's ass. Like, honestly, that's what it smells like. And I'm like, this doesn't
it smells
smell like pot.
natural to me, but just because it smells natural doesn't mean it smells good. I mean, your BO is natural.
Right.
Does
And
that
it just doesn't smell like the natural marijuana that I grew up with. You know, it doesn't smell like that at all. It doesn't smell like pot. You know, the pot today does not smell like old school. Right. It's a totally different smell, Michelle, right? It doesn't smell the same at all anymore. Yeah. It's just different now. And
they're selectively breeding it for like very specific things, you know. I mean, like there's more than just THC and marijuana. There's a whole lot of other like cannabinoids and stuff in there too. Lots of other like chemicals, but like
lots of chemicals.
They're being selectively bred for certain things because those are the things that sell, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels very pharmaceutical to me, and I'm anti-pharmaceutical. So my card said grab the good and let go of the bad from the past. Yeah, I'm doing that. Exactly. That's it stinks now. Absolutely. Totally different smell. Exactly. A totally different smell than what it used to smell. Now it's like every time I smell it, I'm like skunk. Like it doesn't even smell like pot. It used to be like pot had a smell, and then the skunky stuff was like maybe 1/10 of the smell of what it is now. And it's just so, I mean, I walk up to people's houses and I can smell it from outside their house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like before I even get to the door, and it's like, oh yeah, they smoke here. You know, just we didn't go in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm the kind of person, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I feel like there's nefarious purposes and all these things happening. So we're not going to get into that. Let's go into the cards. Inger sent a donation, and Inger would like a card. Miss Inger is over in Norway, I believe.
All right, we got the Queen of Wands here.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, we were amazed when Hydra come in. Exactly. That's why they need DoorDash. Look, listen. I just tell this funny story. DoorDash a large pizza with mashed potatoes and gravy from Pizza Ranch today, and then also like 3 8-packs of Gatorade, 3 king-size Kit Kats, some Sour Patch Kids, and and it was the house that smelled like weed. So, a 12-pack of Red Bull, and it was just a bunch of dudes sitting around smoking. Oh, and then I had to stop at Wendy's and get them Wendy's too. So, she's in Norway.
You remember how like whenever states first started like legalizing weed, Girl Scouts started like parking their little spots outside of dispensaries.
Some cookies.
That's perfect marketing right there. Like,
I mean, that's strategy. That's strategy. Okay, so she's in Norway. Hi, Caroline. This is my son. Welcome, welcome. This is my son, Mitchell. Okay, so Mitchell has the Queen of Wands. What do we feel about this?
Queen of Pentacles.
Oh, I'm sorry. Queen of Pentacles. My bad. I thought you said Queen of Wands. I love the Queen of Pentacles even more because that represents me as a Capricorn. Pentacles represent earth signs, right? Because the earth. Yeah, so it represents Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Yes. So is she the Queen of Pentacles? And what does it mean for her?
Good question. Could be the queen.
Are you the Queen of Norway? Just kidding.
Maybe somebody else. I don't know.
So
what's the book say on here? I'm not really getting too much.
Oh, the Queen of Pentacles? Let's take a peek. So the Queen of Pentacles is a nurturer, usually it represents the woman, obviously the queen. The Pentacles represent home and hearth, okay? Your home, your foundation, your family. But the book says, Queen of Pentacles, a healer, a working parent, a self-made person, material wealth and abundance, strength in family and community, a kind of nurturing heart, groundedness, being down to earth, and generosity. So I feel like a lot of those represent Inger as a person. And I think that it also represents uh, a time in her life where she has to do more self healing, um, self care. What do you think, Mitchell? What messages are you getting for Inger?
Well, is Inger a mother? I feel like that'd
She
be useful
is.
information.
She is a mother.
There you go. How old are your kids?
She has a son. Don't know how old her son is. He's 15.
15? Oh boy. Trying to remember what it was like when I was 15.
Well, we don't want to go there.
Yeah, it was a mess.
That was when I tried to give you away.
God.
Nobody would take you though.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. I remember having the conversation with Grandma. I remember calling her and just being so frustrated with you and your attitude. And she told me, she said, honestly, Misty, you are the most patient of people. And if you can't handle him, I definitely don't want him. And I was like, oh, yeah, 15 was rough. Don't go there. Yeah. 15 was rough. Oh man.
Jeez. Well, uh, he's got his dad around, right? The son. Yes, no.
The donations are all going to Mitchell tonight, Connie, and there's no line right now. No, his dad died a couple
Oh,
years
damn.
ago.
How old was he when his dad died?
It was a couple years ago. He's probably 13, I think.
Jeez, that's like pretty recent memory right there.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years.
So
It's Caroline.
guess
Same with
you're
my son. Very long days and nights. Yes.
I guess you're doing the whole thing with the Pentacles being that, like, material provider with your son, which is like, that's great. I mean, like, it's an admirable job and it's a hard one, especially as, like, a single parent. But like,
Yeah.
boys, especially, he's at a really critical point in his life right now as like a young man, as like a teenager, a 15-year-old, where like he needs some sort of like paternal figure in his life too, and that doesn't have to be some sort of like replacement dad or something. That can look like a mentor. But I would say
Oh, he
that,
was
like,
10. I'm sorry. He was 10. My bad.
yeah, but yeah, I would say, like, keep it up as far as, like, the whole, being there for him in that material sense and everything, but also understand that it's like there's going to be a limit to how much you can be there for him as a mother in like an emotional sense, because there will be the sort of disconnect from, like, your experiences like a woman to his experiences like growing up as a boy and everything, where like you can only connect with him so much, and at the end of the day the rest of that slack is going to need to be picked up by somebody that has more of an experience coming to him, and that's where he's gonna need that sort of like masculine guidance.
Male
He's going to
role
need that
model.
sort of like mentor figure.
Yeah.
So I would definitely like keep an eye out for something like that. Keep an eye out for like your friends. Keep an eye out for like groups he could potentially be a part in. Don't do what my mom did and like force me to play a bunch of sports that I don't want to play. But like,
And the
pay
interesting thing I
attention to what
want
he's
to add,
interested in for sure, and like try to help, like, support his interests. Like, facilitate those things and look for somebody that can help you help him.
right.
Don't take that entire responsibility on you. It's too much for one person. That's why
I
the nuclear family
honestly
has two parents.
I honestly feel, Mitchell, that also, like, boys have to have a male role model. And in retrospect, like, for anyone, if they don't have a male role model, that's somebody that, like, you bring into their life, whether it be family, a friend, a relationship, then they are going to turn to their peers for
Yep.
a role model, and that's
That
never
was
good.
exactly what I did.
Exactly what
I
I'm
did
saying.
not
Like,
have a strong male role model in my life, and I'm not
no,
blaming
I
you for
was
that
a
at
single
all,
parent,
because like we
honestly.
were both of us, like I feel like both of us were really too naive while I was growing up to really know what I needed anyways,
Yeah,
but
I would
like
agree.
I was even smart enough to articulate it back then that like, I basically like I was modeling my personality basically off of my close group of friends, but all of my friends were outcasts and weirdos, and that was turning me into an outcast and a weirdo. Like,
Yeah,
not saying there's anything wrong with being an outcast and a weirdo, but it's like I definitely do think that there is something wrong with like, kids that are struggling to understand who they are and like find their place in the world, taking their cues from other kids who are struggling to figure out who they are. And it's like
Caroline said,
kids need somebody with a little bit more of like a concrete identity to be like taking as a role model. They should not be taking their cues from other kids that are just as stupid as they are. And that's why like
true.
I think schools are such a tragedy in that way. They're letting kids down so hard in that way because kids hate teachers and they just take their cues from the other kids. And it turns them all into little psychopaths.
It's true. Carolyn says that's exactly right. No role model for mine either. Turned to his peers, and that's where it fell apart. Inga
Yep.
said that his grandpa died in February, which is so
Oh my God.
heartbreaking. Sent a letter to heaven to send one into our life. Well, I'll be sending reinforcements to you, Inger. I'm so excited. I do recall a reading that I gave you a few months ago when your life partner came through and said something about bringing a new person into your life. So I'm not sure if that was before or after his grandpa passed away, but I do know that I do remember that message about bringing somebody new into your life. I don't know if you remember that. So that's already been put into the works. Just know you requesting it is also like kind of like speeding up the process, putting in ASAP. So look for that person to come into your life. I mean, obviously, don't take the very
It
first
could be
person.
time for that wake up call. This could be the
It's
signal
fine.
that you are in the right position to start
Yeah,
that process.
absolutely. It was after. Okay. But I do feel like that's going to happen. I feel like that's going to happen here. And months really are just a drop in the bucket of a whole lifespan. So I cannot tell you exactly when it's going to happen. Maybe August, because I just heard August. But I do feel like there's going to be somebody coming in that's going to fill a much needed empty void in your life and in your son's life. Okay. My son, at especially 17, gave me lots of scares, and finally I put my foot down and told him to join the military. And at the short of it, he turned 40 in January and recently retired from the Army as an E8. Wow. And honorable, and is doing amazing at his new age. 4 children.
There's
Wow.
a reason that the military really turns young boys around. I mean,
To
like
men.
freaking
Yeah. It turns boys into men. It really does.
yeah, it turns boys into
Um,
men. It's because like boys they really do need like structure and discipline. It's like there's this whole thing about like violent kids, like whenever they're like really 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 young, like if they're 2 years old and they kick and they pull hair and they like hit and stuff, then like they need to be socialized pretty quickly. They need to be brought into the fold of like the other kids, and they need to learn to like pull their temperament in. Otherwise the other kids are going to ostracize them and reject them, and that's going to make the problem way worse over time, and they will never recover from that.
mm-hmm.
It's like all those kids that like they bite and hit when they're young and they like don't grow out of that, they'll like wind up going down really really bad paths whenever they grow up.
Right.
So it's like these
True.
are like for boys especially, this is why like the entire like mentor thing is like so important, because they need to see that like plan laid out in front of them. They can't afford to have no plan and just be lost in chaos, because they'll give in to the chaos.
Inger says we don't have much military left in Norway. That's interesting. I did not know that.
I would recommend
We'll end up as bullies.
martial arts.
Exactly.
Actually,
We will end up as
martial arts.
bullies. Yep.
Martial arts cure bullies, straight up.
True, true. I was a bugger of a kid and even more of a terror as a teen. I had some issues, mainly what I have come to know as sour milk syndrome. I don't know if I want to know what that is. I don't like sour milk. I don't know about that. Kids really want boundaries even when they won't admit it. That's true. Love them
Yeah.
enough to have rules and expect them to succeed. Absolutely. And it's hard, especially, as a single parent growing up. It was hard because I was an unhealed person raising children, you know. And as an unhealed person raising children who didn't really have, God love Graham. I love Graham, but I did not really have a good role model as a parent on how to be a parent, and so, it wasn't like a loving, nurturing environment. She wasn't fiscally responsible like that. She really didn't
She
sit us
told me
down.
stories of like back whenever you guys were kids, and like, yeah, your guys' lives sounded crazy. It sounded like some freaking urban like West Side Story nonsense going on like all the time with like drama and like.
Graham told you stories?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
She told me a story once about like how she woke up one night to see like her ex or something over her with like a gun to her, and she was like, "What the fuck do you think you're doing, man?" But like just like her having that standoff with this guy about to like kill her and everything, and I'm just like, what kind of men are you bringing into your life, Graham? Like, what the hell? Like,
there were so many. There were so many stories. But anyways,
like, yeah,
it was
it's a
a
crazy
really,
place to grow up. Like,
and
jeez,
this is why I was a people pleaser, because it was a
it's a
crazy,
compensation. Yep.
it was a very crazy childhood, and I never felt safe. So
Yep.
anyway, but yeah, I didn't have good examples, to lean on or to fall back on. And so like, I just did the best I could intuitively, and I tried not to do what my mom did, and I tried to do better. And that's
That's the
really, I think,
overcompensation thing. That's the whole like, like I'm gonna be the opposite of my like negative role
well,
model,
I wouldn't
you know.
say the opposite per se, because I did follow in her footsteps in some regards, where my mom expressed her love for us through material things. She would buy us things, to show
Yeah.
us that she loved us. And I used to do that with y'all, when you were little. I used to buy you everything. And I thought that's how you showed people you love them,
Mixed
buying them
results.
gifts.
Yeah.
But I learned, I learned, and it took a long time, but I learned, that doesn't really
Turns out
work.
I'm more of a hugger than a gift receiver.
Right, right. uh when my son's friend had a loaded gun in my car and the police were chasing them and they got caught, and his friend wanted to rob the Best Buy, and I watched my son get arrested at 17. Eek.
God, yeah,
i
he's in
think
deep.
I think
It's not too
sour
late.
milk syndrome essentially is when your mother is telling you in words she loves and cares for you, but shows you the opposite in her actions. Well,
That's why you don't pay attention to people's words. They don't know what the hell
yeah.
they're talking about. You watch their actions.
But also, honestly, like, she could actually love you, but she was never shown a healthy version of love. And so, like I'm saying, like, my mom was like, here's material things. This means I love you, instead of a hug, instead of saying I love you, instead of affection and a
Yeah.
nurturing relationship and feeling that
It's a different love
closeness.
language.
It was just
Yeah.
like, here's all the toys at Christmas. Here's all the toys, here's a big basket for Easter. Here's a big, thing for, Valentine's Day. Like, it was always like a show.
Yeah.
Here's my affection as a material representation. And so I wouldn't say it's just she didn't really have a good example herself, because her parents died when she was young. You know, her mom died when she was
Generational
7, and
trauma.
her dad died when she was 12. And so, like, all of them were just like foisted off on relatives and stuff. And so she had a traumatic childhood, which in turn gave me a traumatic childhood, which I tried to not follow in the footsteps, but I didn't exactly. It's like we pick and choose without realizing we're picking and choosing what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. You know, I call it comparison and contrast. Like, you can learn lessons and do things in comparison, or you can do them in contrast. Like, there are some things that I absolutely did not want y'all to experience, and so I did the contrast of it. There's some things that were not the worst to me because I didn't know any better, which was the gift giving and stuff. Like, I did comparison. And I cuss a lot. My mom didn't know how to say anything without the fuck word in it. Like, she literally,
Yeah.
like a sailor. She and like
Yelling
my mom, when
Massachusetts
she would
people,
get
like,
excited or get upset, she would start yelling and screaming, and I would do the same thing when you guys were little because I didn't know any better.
yep,
I'm obviously got a much better hold on my temper now, but when I was a young mom, I didn't know any better, you
yeah,
know. So
I
it's
get it.
it's really just a little bit of this and that. So yeah, to the point, get your son a male role model.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
Again,
Um,
like I was saying before, it doesn't have to be the military necessarily if there's not really a whole lot going on in the military as far as Norway goes. But like, yeah, getting them in martial arts would be phenomenal. Like, boys love doing that kind of stuff. It's like they need to learn how to use their body. That's one of the biggest contributors to like insecurity in boys is them not actually knowing what their physical limits are. So
right.
they become afraid of themselves. They become afraid to take action, afraid to do anything.
Well, and
And by like
JP,
going through the discipline of martial arts, it's like that's going to teach them, like that's going to give them that bodily awareness, and
right.
that's going to make them move with confidence.
And also to interject another side note, JP, Jordan Peterson, also
Peterson, yeah.
says that boys need to move. They need to move their bodies. They need to expend energy. They
Yep,
don't
got
have
to get it out of them.
ADHD in school. They just have not been given enough free range to actually like expend their energy. They have a lot more energy. And if they don't do something
Your
constructive
son
with
sounds like
it,
me, Finger.
yeah,
Same. My
yeah, the
son is
boys
an
spend.
introvert and is much home after school. Yeah, that was me. And that stuff
He
was
has a black
poisoned.
window. That was
That
not you.
cycle of me like
You are not a black belt in
what?
Taekwondo.
Well, geez, is he still doing taekwondo? I mean, was that more of just like he did it when he was a kid, but like not so much anymore? I mean, like don't force him to like go into it. Like make sure that it's like he's still doing what he wants to do. But
Yeah. It just feels like this is kind of a period in your life over the next couple of months to kind of concentrate on your family, concentrate on making sure there's a lot of stability in your home, nurturing your son, nurturing yourself, and kind of preparing yourself for a new chapter. That's kind of the
yeah,
overall message that I was getting from the card.
yeah. The card's
Under,
telling me that you're in a good spot, though.
yeah, for sure. Queen of Pentacles is secure in herself. He's lifting
Yeah,
weights, ooh, building
heck
muscle.
yeah,
Mitchell is starting to be a personal trainer. Mitchell has got himself physically fit. Show him your taters. And Mitchell did almost all of that with calisthenics. Is that right?
yeah.
He used to
Push-ups,
be a
pull-ups,
skinny little twig
squats,
of a
and like
boy.
what's that?
Yeah, I said you used to be a skinny little twig of a boy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I still think I'm pretty skinny, but like I'm working on it.
I think you're fit.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want to.
I'm
You don't want to go to
lean,
pot.
lean.
Sports with my kids was awesome. Yeah, sports is great for kids. It teaches them how to work with other people. It helps them be active. Um, I don't really, I don't really, I don't really agree with participation awards per se. I
Oh yeah,
think that
participation awards are
I
great.
don't think participation awards.
That was the thing that I hated the most about sports as a kid. Honestly, when you were like having me like play freaking football and all that crap, I
I
was
tried
like,
to get Mitchell involved in
I
sports. He was an inside
I would
cat.
go out in this like hot ass like Texas football field, play this game that I did not understand the rules to, and nobody bothered to actually take the time to explain any of them to me because I was just a
Yep.
dumb kid and it wasn't worth it. And then all at the end of it, I would get this whole like pat on the back and be like, "You're a winner too," and I'm just like, "Shut up." Like, God, the patronizing is just disgusting, man. Like,
It is. It's very patronizing. And it was obvious to me as a parent that the
I
coaches were not
hated it.
doing a very good job because like
Yeah, they
they
didn't
would
care.
have
They were just there for
practice
the little
like
kids whose dads taught them how to play football. They weren't actually there to teach them anything. Like, they were just there to run the team. It was all just procedure. Crazy. Like, but I gotta go to the bathroom real quick, so I'll be right back.
okay. Michelle says, I would love to receive a message today. The last time I received a message from Misty, I was in a dark and confused place. And I would love to see what comes out today as I'm coming out from under the cloud of grief and fog of psychotropic medications. If drawn, only thank you. Yeah, sure. I can do a reading for you, sweetheart. Let's see. Let's see what Michelle needs to know. I hope you do get him back into Taekwondo. Always won the 100-yard dash. Calisthenics is mostly the way my son's strength trains. Yeah, that and the boy has really he really has built up. I mean, he's got a 6-pack. I mean, he's very thin, obviously very thin. He's very tall. He's like 6'2". But he's all muscle, and he did that all himself, just perseverance. Okay. So you have the World in reverse, the King of Swords, and the Ten of Swords. So this is really all about doing what's right for yourself. The King of Swords is doing the right thing regardless of who's affected by it. The Ten of Swords is all about your anguish, your emotional pain. The psychotropic drugs obviously would have an influence on that, on your mind and on the way your mind thinks. I feel like it's going to take a little bit of time for you to get back to like a baseline, because you go from here and then you dipped up here, with the influence of medications and everything, and then you're coming off of them, so you come back down here, but you kind of have to give yourself a little bit of time to, I don't know, to get back to good, to get back to like a baseline. You know what I mean? Baseline. I want you to really think about what is going to make you happy in the sense of inner peace, Michelle, over the next few weeks, because I feel like there's going to be some resurfacing of things. Resurfacing, yes, that's what we want to say. Of course, we would like her to know that she's in good hands. Just remember that she's in good hands. So your people, your guides are coming in and they're saying, just know that we're here with you when you're going through this journey, and that we are available if you ever want help. I feel like there's a part of you that has always had a tendency to kind of like be an overthinker. This also feels kind of like a trauma response for me. It feels like 16 years old. What happened to you when you were 16 that has created this like trauma response where you're overthinking things, where you're overthinking like your actions, you're overthinking the actions of other people. We're always looking for the out. I am slowly rediscovering the joy in life. Inger says, thank you, Mitchell.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad I could help.
Michelle, what happened at 16 that caused this like trauma, this overthinking? 16, yes. We had a split. divergence from the natural path at 16. Think about it. That's very reassuring. I'm looking to ultimately move into a career role. When I was 13, I went through a really dark patch where I disrespected my body and gave myself away too freely. At 16, I got addicted to heroin. Okay, divergence from the natural path. That makes sense.
You know, the thing I heard about heroin addiction that makes it make a lot of sense, honestly, was that like I think I heard this from my roommate. Come to think of it, he was telling me the thing that got him hooked on it was whenever he like shot up for the first time, he said the warmth that he felt from it felt like the warmth that he never got from like his parents growing up. And it's like that hurts. Like when you put it like that, it makes so much sense how addictive that feeling could be.
Sure.
That sense that it just like it fills some like void in you that was left from like, you know, your trauma and everything from like growing up and feeling unloved and stuff. Like I sympathize like hard, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like it's no
That's
wonder
really hard.
it's such a hard addiction to beat, you know.
That's really, really sad. Absolutely. That's deep, Mitchell. Caroline says that's deep, Mitchell. It is really sad. Does that make sense to you, Michelle? Looking to ultimately move into a career role. And they just told me to tell you that you have a lot to look forward to. Okay, to tell you that you have a lot to look forward to. I find now that the goal is not to be completely sober, but to be the one who has the power over the decisions to use and not have the drugs dominate. Your heroin was the first home I ever felt that was safe. Exactly. That's so sad. I am grateful every single day of my life that I never followed the path of addiction. Like, honestly, I drank way too much as a teenager, like most teenagers. But I never really felt that addiction, you know, and I'm so grateful for it because it literally just ruins people's lives. Yes, it makes sense. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Misty. Thank you to my guides. Absolutely. I've never done harsh drugs, and people tried to get me to do shit all the time when I was a kid. All the time. And I was just like, no, I am too much of a control freak. Mitchell, you know, too much of a control freak over my body. I'm not going to let something else control me, you know, and be susceptible to whatever happens. You know, even as a teenager, I felt the need to be in control of myself. And that honestly is because my childhood was such a fucking train wreck. Like there was no control, you know, and so.
That's like
yeah, exactly.
My favorite lesson from like, you know, psychedelics as a teacher and everything. It's like it just shines light on the fact that it's like, dude, you don't have control over anything. Any sense of control that you have is just an illusion. It's just one you're exhausting yourself onto, you know.
Yeah. Yep. So Connie said she sent a donation. She wants a card.
Oh, thank you.
You're gonna give her some cards.
I got the 10 of Wands.
Reversed.
All right.
So the 10 of Wands in a lot of tarot card decks is talking about being overburdened. Okay. So when you think in the form of energy, 10 is like the max. Like you're holding too many wands, you're carrying too many burdens. In a lot of decks, it shows like a pack horse just overburdened with all of these bags. and you're just walking beside it, just tired. And so the Ten of Wands usually talks about just needing to delegate, needing to release the need to control every situation, ask people for help, allow people to help you, because usually the Ten of Wands is somebody who doesn't ask for help and just carries the burden and silently suffers, because nobody sees everything that they're kind of juggling.
It's
So
actually kind of got me thinking, like, as far as the storyline of the wands go, if the very next card is supposed to be like the Page of Wands, is like, the sort of apprentice figure, then it's like that makes perfect sense to me right there. As far as like the kind of natural progression goes.
yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
maybe it's time to have a little helper following you around, maybe it's time to get a shadow.
Time to get help, exactly. So if we have the Ten of Wands in reverse, um, then that to me would represent um, being too stubborn to ask for help, or not allowing people to give you advice, to give you help, stubbornly holding on to things when other people want to assist you. Um, it just feels like she's doing this to herself. You know?
Actually, I've got a story actually from work recently, where it's like I mainly just like scrub the floors and like take out the trash at the hospital, right? So, uh, we've been sort of like switching how we're doing things. So it's like on some days I'll be the one that does the trash, and on other days like the other ladies in the building that I work with will do the trash. So that way I can spend more time doing floor stuff. And there was one day where like I was gonna take the bins full of trash and get rid of them, like clean them all out so that way they could like fill them back up with trash later in the day. One of my coworkers, she's new and she's a very, very stubborn, very crabby person. And she's out there throwing out the trash way before I would have done it and complaining about it the whole time. So it's like the moment that I walk out there and I see that she's doing that, I don't even have time to be like, hey, what are you doing? Before she's all like, oh, don't, I've got it. And I'm just like, whoa, like, he's like, it would have been nice if you would have taken care of it, but I've got it, so I don't need your help. And I'm just like, dude, like, what's this whole attitude of just like, I'm going to do other people's work and be bitter about it,
Right.
And it's just like, dude, I
Like,
wasn't
I
even
didn't
gonna say
ask you to take
anything.
out the
Like,
trash. Like, I
I
was
didn't
gonna
ask you
take
to
out
do
the trash.
this. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is my job to get rid of it here. It's like nobody
Yeah.
asked you to do that. You
The
took it
martyr.
upon yourself
Yep. The
so
martyr.
that you can be salty about it.
Yep. Yep.
Like
She's
so
a
that way
martyr.
you can like rub that like moral superiority in my face. It's like you need to chill, dude. Like holy moly. So it's like, don't do more than you actually have to, And it's like, and if you feel inclined to work really, really hard, like you got to ask yourself why too, It's like,
Well, that's not good
remember
advice.
why you're doing what you're doing.
It's not good advice to not work harder than you have to. I mean,
Well, it's the
if
why,
nobody
It's like
tried to excel, then
if you're
nobody,
working way
the
harder
bar
than
would
you have
forever
to,
be here.
if you're working way harder than you have to, so that way you can like wear the little gold medal around your neck that's all like, oh well, I'm like the hardest worker, so like woe is me and my plight, I break myself in half for this place and da da da. It's like, dude, stop. Like
Yeah.
no, that's lame, man.
That's called narcissism.
It's called narcissism. It's like you
It's
need to
called
not do
narcissism.
that.
Yeah. Covert narcissism is what that is.
Narcissism.
Yeah. Look at me doing everything. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, toiling my finger to the bone. Woe is me. It's like, oh, you mean doing your job that you're paid to do? Like, go cry.
Elspeth says, plus she did it. Plus, she did it ahead of the usual time to be sure she could complain about it. Absolutely,
Exactly. It's
absolutely.
like, dude, you're setting
It's
yourself
like
up. Like, come on.
if I knew that Mitchell was leaving the house at 8 o'clock, and that he would take the trash out at 8 o'clock, and I did it at 7:30, and then complained he didn't take the trash out. Whose fault is that?
Yeah.
That's my own fault. That's not the time that it was supposed to happen. But anyways,
Or
so
like if I'm
Connie,
supposed to do the dishes when I get home from school or something, and it's like the moment I get home from school, you're already doing them, and you're like pissy about it, and I'm like, bro.
right, right, like where were you?
Total
Yeah,
bra
exactly.
moment. Yeah.
So, Connie, with the 10 of Wands in reverse, let's just look in the book to see how close we were with that, by the way. Let's just check it out.
I like our interpretation. I found it relatable.
I thought it was relatable too.
Because I mean, it's like I'm not gonna act like I've never been guilty of doing that before. It's like I
Divided
feel like that's why it
attentions,
resonates because like
right? I'm a control freak and I know it,
mhm,
but I'm learning to surrender that control and let the chips fall where they may. Literally, divided
it's
attentions,
so
clinging to
liberating once you let go.
responsibilities, difficulty asking for help, the oppression of martyrdom, everything we
Yep,
just talked about,
martyrdom. That's the word. Yep. Woe is
letting go
me.
of
I'm
someone
suffering so
else's
much. Like,
expectations of you, a need to stand up for yourself. Well,
mhm.
I love that. I have to go and get some rest, guys. Lovely to meet you today, Mitchell. Thank you, Misty, for the
No
heads up on
doubt.
researching trauma memories. You're welcome. I will be more prepared and aware of this possibility for sure now. I'm so glad and privileged to have you guys read for me today. You're welcome. Get some rest. I need to get some rest also. I've had a very long day, so I think we should probably wind this down. We have been live for
Two and a
two and
half
a half
hours now.
hours now, my boy.
Gosh,
This is the longest
this
you
is
and I
fun.
have even had conversation. Usually we talk for an hour or so on the phone,
Yeah,
but I'm
I'm
excited.
down
My
to do this more. Honestly, like this has been a
hmm
lot of fun so far.
Yeah, you like it? Hey,
Yeah,
and
great.
like I said, you're in my Facebook group, the Mystic Medium Bridge, and you can do practice readings on Sundays. So that's tomorrow. So just in case you don't remember that, you can always make a post in there and do readings for people. Just for feedback if they resonate with people, just like we did here tonight. I know it's been a long day. Thank you so much, everybody, for donating to the boy. I appreciate you donating to his spiritual journey and mine for being here for this discussion. The collective energy was beautiful tonight, very informative. The boy's got a very big brain and so much information in it. He's a Gemini, he keeps everything in
Oh,
there. So,
yeah.
if you want to have him on again sometime, let me know and we'll figure that out. You can be a
Yeah,
guest on my
especially because
show
I don't know how to do
whenever.
all this stuff on the tech side yet, so you got the
Yeah.
expertise there. I'm just kind of along for the ride. This is the first stream I've ever been on in my life, so
I think I got one of the few non-reverse cards tonight. Yes, you did, Elspeth. Yay
yeah.
me. Yeah, good for you. Your
Yeah, we're
boy
getting
is
tons of
wonderful.
reverses.
Your boy is
Maybe
wonderful.
I
Your
need to
son
shuffle
is
better.
cool.
I don't know.
Your son is cool. Yes, he is.
Thank you.
Massive deja vu. Well, Caroline, what? Well, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate your donations and we hope to see you all again sometime. And